Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new type of video to the TwitWow brand, fantasy booking, and in this case specifically, fantasy booking the road to WrestleMania 33. John and I have spent the last 3.5 days coming up with plans, laying out matches, coming up with storylines that we can use to make the WWE as interesting as possible from the Royal Rumble up to and including and maybe even a little tiny bit past WrestleMania 33. I am so psyched to be able to do this with John. We haven't done one of these videos in, I think, 3 or 4 years. And the last one that we did, it was a 4-way video with us as well as the former other 2 members of what we used to call the 4 Horsemen of the YWC, Alex and Preston. So hopefully you guys have a deep seat because John and I both have very detailed and in-depth plans for how to make the ideal WrestleMania 33 card. John, go.
Brother, let me tell you something. You guys should have been in what I affectionately call, my study, my room, because I devoted a good chunk of my Saturday to this and practically all of my Sunday to this today because I wanted to get it right. I've got a lot on paper, but even more up here, baby. So on my side of things, it's going to be something. I like my card and everything connects. Ashton shared with me his. It is fantastic. I think you guys are going to see some scintillating matches on both sides, and maybe even some laughing at me. I'm prepared for it, but we've been out of the game so long to get back into it. Let me tell you, man, it was a fucking experience. My mind went everywhere. I know how you work. I'm sure you did too. I can't wait to share our brain vomit with everybody on the road to WrestleMania. This is going to be a fun one.
Okay, so here is what I think we should do. Because the entire point of this video is to build up to awesome WrestleMania cards, let's do this chronologically. Let's start, if you have anything that you have in your booking from now until the Royal Rumble, you can talk about that. I don't really have anything to say between now and Rumble. I have one match that I have added to the Royal Rumble card on top of what's already been made official. And then we can talk about what we would have happen at the Royal Rumble itself.
Yeah, brother, I'm just going to let you know right now, any preceding stuff I did not do. I pretty much kept the Rumble as is. I wanted that to be my foundation because I know from there things do get a little bit crazy. So I just used the Rumble as a foundation. So I did not tamper with that. I really have nothing in that regard as you speak of. So I'm good there.
Okay. So here's what I did, guys. On the lead up, the build up, the road to the Royal Rumble, the only match that I have added on here is Becky Lynch versus Alexa Bliss for the SmackDown Women's Championship.
Right. Okay. Makes sense. Yeah.
And I also want to add that I believe aren't they going to have a match this coming Tuesday?
Yes, the steel cage match.
Right. So then I will add that I'm going to have Becky Lynch win the title in the steel cage match, and this is going to be a rematch for the title. It's going to be Alexa cashing in her rematch clause to get the title back.
Yeah, I like that. I think that works out perfectly. That's good stuff right there.
So on my SmackDown card, I have Becky Lynch as the SmackDown Women's Champion going into the Royal Rumble, defending the championship against Alexa Bliss, who is choosing her rematch clause for the match at Rumble. So, John, I'm curious, what are you doing at Rumble, brother?
Okay, at Rumble, here's the thing. I'm keeping a lot as is. Actually, though, you did remind me with my SmackDown Women's Championship match, the build-up to begin to that, which I'll get to that a little bit later. One match I am going to have, because I'm going to have Alexa Bliss retained for the moment in the steel cage. I actually have Becky Lynch going against the evil La Luchadora, her identity not yet revealed, and Becky Lynch wins that match. So, yeah, that's really the only match I would make for that particular story. Everything else, though, I'm keeping the Rumble match. I've got Roman. Do you want to talk about results or just match card when you say, what do I got for the Rumble here? How far should I go?
Well, do you have I know you said that you kept everything, so I know and everyone else knows that our current Royal Rumble matches are AJ Styles versus John Cena for the WWE Championship, right?
Right.
Okay, Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens for the Universal Championship, Bayley versus Charlotte for the Raw Women's Championship, and the Royal Rumble match itself. So those are the only matches that are set in stone for the Rumble. So, did you add anything to the Royal Rumble card?
Again, like I would have Becky Lynch versus La Luchadora because that's going to be important for the rest of my card leading up to the SmackDown Women's Championship. But that's it.
So that would be on the pre-show, though, right?
Yeah, definitely. So
Okay.
that's it, though.
So since we both have one extra match that we've added to this card that involved Becky Lynch, let's just talk about that match, the result, and any extra kind of stuff we want to talk about for it first.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I do have Becky Lynch winning. I don't know if I would have La Luchadora be unmasked, but if we do, like, I have it in my mind that it is Mickie James because that's one name I heard come up a lot. That would be how I have her return, you know, as a heel. And yeah, Becky Lynch gets the win because she does lose the steel cage match, so I want to maintain her momentum. What about you with Becky here?
Oh, yeah, I'm going to have Becky Lynch retain the SmackDown Women's Championship on this show. And after she defeats Alexa Bliss, La Luchadora does come out, but Becky clocks her, unmasks her. It's just Deonna Purrazzo. That's legitimately who's been playing La Luchadora.
Okay.
And then Deonna will join up with Alexa as sort of like the Dana and Emma of SmackDown.
Okay. I like that. That's good stuff, man.
So, but I'm not even done. That's the thing. So after, you know, Becky unmasks La Luchadora, we see that it's Deonna. Deonna rolls out of the ring, and she and Becky just kind of, or not Becky, she and Alexa just kind of retreat up the ramp, just kind of get out of the way. They're kind of tucking their tail in defeat. We hear Emma's theme song hit.
Oh, nice.
And Emma stands at the top of the ramp, walks down to the ring, stare down with Becky Lynch, and then a forearm just lays her out, curb stomp, locks her into the Emma lock, and then she just leaves. And then we go to, like, you know, ads and commercials and hype and stuff while Becky makes her way out of the ring, probably helped out of the ring by trainers.
I love that. Yes, so good.
So we don't know why all of a sudden Emma is going after Becky Lynch. Nobody really knows why this Raw superstar is going after a SmackDown champion, but there will be an explanation on that week's episode of Talking Smack. So,
oh, not very clever to use Talking Smack as well. I honestly didn't think to do that even in my really prominent SmackDown matches. That's very clever.
yeah, so that'll be my whole Becky Lynch, Alexa Bliss, whatever kind of stuff. But then the other women's match, we might as well talk about it. Bayley versus Charlotte for the Raw Women's Championship. Let's just kind of flip-flop here, so I'll go first on this one. I have Bayley defeating Charlotte to become the new Raw Women's Champion.
Yes, and I have Charlotte retaining at the moment. So Bayley does not win the championship. Charlotte retains here, but nothing really happens after that.
All right, awesome. That makes sense. Okay, I think that about clears things up. I don't have any kind of extra like post-match shenanigans there or anything like that. I just have Bayley winning, and then I would probably have Sasha come out and celebrate with her, and also just to kind of make sure that Charlotte doesn't try a post-match attack on Bayley. So Bayley and Charlotte and Sasha celebrate. Charlotte tucks her tail and leaves. Everyone goes home happy on that.
Yeah, I like that. Straightforward
We're going to
enough.
talk about the Universal title or the WWE title next, John.
Universal Championship next. I'll go first on this one because this is where my rabbit hole really starts with all the frivolous note-taking I did with the big matches. I actually have Roman Reigns winning. There's a spot in the match where Jericho produces a pair of brass knucks and he tries to drop them from the cage, like, you know, being so high up. Roman Reigns, though, intercepts them and he actually contemplates using them, and he does for a super-powered Superman punch with the brass knucks, and he pins Kevin Owens to become the new Universal Champion. So,
Nice.
but blatantly cheating to get it done. So that's the big thing to note here.
Right. Yeah, I actually had something very similar, believe it or not. And here's the thing, guys, we did very little communication on what we were doing with this. We shared our cards with each other, but we didn't tell each other anything about the buildup. So any similarities are, for the most part, coincidences. There's one thing that John and I have in common that we did sort of plan together that he came up with, and I said, you know what? I love that idea. I'm going to steal it. But we'll talk about that when we get to Fastlane. For now, rather than brass knucks, I have Chris Jericho being really stubborn and refusing to give up his United States Championship to a referee. So he keeps that into the shark cage, and that is what he drops, and that is what Roman ends up picking up and using on Owens to win the Universal Championship.
Dude, I love that idea. That fits so perfectly with Jericho's personality too. Great stuff.
Yeah. All right. Well, then let's talk about Cena versus Styles, John. I'm curious. Oh no, you went first in the last one. I'll go first with this one. I actually added a little wrinkle to this. I added Baron Corbin to this, so it'll actually be a triple threat in my fantasy world. And the reason I did that was so that AJ Styles could retain the WWE title by pinning Baron Corbin, and that keeps Cena fresh, because then I also have plans for Cena going forward. And then Corbin can get relegated a little tiny bit. Not a ton, but we'll just knock him down to upper mid-card instead of main event. But Styles is still your WWE champion.
Okay, I really like that. I'm going to be honest, bro. I had Styles retaining the championship and not winning the match. He gets himself disqualified. He feels himself about to get beat. I want to continue this feud for the moment through Chamber. So I have Styles losing the match but keeping the championship, so a DQ finish.
Nice. I like that. I like that. Okay, John, here we go. The Royal Rumble match. I know you probably have a bunch of notes about this, and I know you get to go first on this, so I am very eager to hear what you have to say about the Royal Rumble match.
Oh, believe me, bro, I am too. No, I'm just kidding. I do have quite a bit. I'll kind of work backwards. I have Seth winning it. And
Okay.
I'll let you know right now, like the one thing I did with the Rumble, and I think I even have it in my notes here. Again, I did a shit ton for a few of these matches, not all of them, but a few. I have Seth really being aggressive with Stephanie on the lead up to Rumble, saying, you know, Steph, I want Triple H. You know, you always like keep his balls in your purse, you know, corny jokes like that. You know where Triple H is. Where is Triple H? And there actually gets to a point, because it's fantasy and we can be a bit edgier with our television, that I have Seth, he's about to pedigree Stephanie, but Triple H finally emerges and he stops it. And we have Seth going in the Rumble at number 1, and Triple H is getting the coveted 30 spot. So Stephanie's like, if you want Triple H so bad, you're going to have to scratch and claw for it, because you're number 1. He's number 30. Mick tries to come in and stop the madness, because you know from the very beginning he's been distrusting, like, is your husband really out of the picture? He gets a sledgehammer to the gut. Now, Mick needs hip surgery, so in my fantasy world, this is how we write him off, but not for as long as he probably will be in reality. So we go to the Rumble. We have Seth in at number 1, and see what I would do is like, while the Rumble's progressing and while Seth's surviving and while he's getting eliminations, the camera cuts to Triple H in the back, because he knows he's number 30 and he's monitoring Seth's progress. And the more Seth survives, the more anxious Triple H becomes, like, oh, come on, you know, am I really going to have to do this? He didn't expect Rollins to last this long. So obviously we get down to our final 6 men. Triple H has emerged number 30. Our final 6 men are Rollins, Balor, Corbin, Taker, Strowman, and Triple H. Corbin eliminates The Undertaker. That's important to remember for down the road. Just remember that. Balor eliminates Strowman. Strowman is pissed that a returning Balor eliminated him, because he's been feeling untouchable this whole time. So he actually
Can I ask, John, how is Balor eliminating Strowman in a physical sense? Like, how is he getting that gigantic man over?
The way I see it, the way I envisioned it, bro, is that Balor used Strowman's own momentum against him. Like, Strowman charges at Balor, but Balor ducks and he hangs the rope. So It's a momentum-based elimination.
I like that. Okay, I dig that.
Strowman lands on his feet. He's pissed that he made such a mistake in his first Rumble when he made it all the way to the final 6, and he's been so dominant. So he comes back in illegally. He annihilates Balor, and he dumps him out. Then you've got Rollins, Corbin, and Triple H left. And I think I have here, yeah, Rollins hits Triple H with a pedigree, and then as Corbin charges, Rollins just dispatches of him, and then Corbin, much like Strowman, he takes his aggression out on Seth. The only difference is he leaves Triple H to peg the bones because he's not looking to make any friends. He is the lone wolf. He just wanted to make a statement. So Triple H, knowing, wow, this is Rollins at my feet, he's slapping him around. He's disrespecting him. He's like, oh, man, I got this. And then because he wants to really hurt Rollins rather than just eliminate him. So Triple H rolls out of the ring underneath, so it doesn't technically count as an elimination. He grabs a sledgehammer. He is like, okay, this is it. I created you. I'm going to destroy you. Rollins hits a low blow on Triple H. Triple H sinks. Rollins grabs the sledgehammer, and now he buries it in Triple H's ribs. Revenge on the go-home show where Triple H stops Seth's assault on Stephanie with the sledgehammer. So it all comes full circle there. He's about to hit Triple H with a pedigree, but he lets him sink to the floor, and he's staring at him. And then when Triple H is finally able to get on all fours, Seth does the DX crotch chop, and he nails a curb stomp. So he's bringing that back. He's saying, you know what? I got Triple H. I don't need the pedigree anymore. I'm better than Triple H. Curb stomp to Triple H, dumps him out. Rollins wins the Rumble, and I have it where he doesn't even waste any time. He gets a microphone. He's leaning over the rope looking at Triple H, and he's smiling. And how do I have it here on my notes? I said that tells him that when, Triple H, when you wake up, you can hate me all you want. Tuesdays on SmackDown Live. So right there to end the pay-per-view, you know that next week you're going to be dealing with both the Authority's fallout of, oh my God, we lost Seth Rollins in our WrestleMania main event, and just Bryan and Shane being like, yes, our WrestleMania main event is secure. So that's my Royal Rumble match.
That's awesome, dude. I love that. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, man. That's only the beginning, brother. Trust me. It was a fucking crazy train. But what do you have for your Royal Rumble?
Whew, man, my Royal Rumble is kind of complicated. Okay, so first thing I'm going to say, I have Rollins entering at number 1, too. So that's hilarious that we both have that.
Right.
My number 2 entrant, though, is actually Dolph Ziggler.
Nice.
And the reason that I did that was because WWE likes to put a really good, worker duo in at 1 and 2 so that we can have a good, let's kind of start things off on the right foot, with the Rumble.
Right.
So and because if people don't watch SmackDown, they don't know that Ziggler's heel yet. So we use Ziggler to kind of introduce the idea that, okay, why is he being such an asshole to Rollins? I thought that these guys are both good guys.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
So, but the thing is, I also have Rollins eliminating Ziggler literally as the clock is at 5. The clock counts down 10, 9, 8, 7, and then Ziggler's charging at Rollins. Rollins backs away, smacks him in the back of the head, and sends him over the top rope. So Ziggler's out as the next person's music is about to hit. And number 3 entrant is Samoa Joe.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's
so
amazing.
I have Joe coming in at 3. Joe and Rollins are going to go for a little bit, but Joe is going to be completely dominant. He's just not going to eliminate Rollins before the 90 seconds is up. Joe is just going to dominate Rollins. But I don't really have anything else specific as far as numbers after Joe. I just wanted to make sure that Joe came out at 3, and then we had Rollins and Ziggler at 1 and 2. So those are my main ones. I don't even know who I would have come out at number 30. I would probably have 28, 29, and 30 be in this order: Big Show, Goldberg, Brock Lesnar, because I know that I am going to have at one point Braun Strowman come out and run amok and just eliminate tons of people, 4 people in the first minute of coming out. But then at number 28, I would have Big Show come out, and somehow Big Show eliminates Braun Strowman, right? So that's
right.
This big deal, oh my God, Big Show eliminated Strowman. Somebody actually managed to eliminate Strowman. But then up next is Goldberg, who then eliminates Big Show because he's freaking Goldberg, and why the hell not?
Right.
And then Brock comes out at 30, lariat to Goldberg over the rope, but he goes out with him. So they're both out.
Not, dude, I love that. And just to tack onto that, because there were other Rumble eliminations that were poignant for the rest of my card. I too, I have Lesnar eliminating Goldberg, and like all that stuff. So yeah, very cool how you structured your Rumble though. I really like that. That's really cool.
But you still don't know who you still don't know who my final four are, because even though I told you who my last three entrants are, this is a crowded ring. And after Brock and Goldberg get eliminated, and obviously Braun and Big Show are also out of the equation, my final four are Samoa Joe, Chris Jericho, Cesaro, and The Miz.
Oh, I like that field. Yeah, definitely.
So we have Joe and Jericho going at it. They're punching each other. They're going crazy. We have Miz and Cesaro going at it. Cesaro eliminates The Miz. So it's like this big deal. Holy crap, Cesaro might do this. Next thing you know, Jericho comes in, tries for a code breaker. Cesaro catches him with his strength, lifts him up, and dumps him over the top rope. But then as Cesaro's taunting Jericho, Joe comes up from behind and dumps Cesaro over for the win.
Oh, I even felt that. Like, I was like, oh, man, is Cesaro going to do it? And then Joe comes in. Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
So Joe wins the Royal Rumble. And even if I don't even know for sure if I would do this, but I think that after the match, I might even have Joe cut a promo saying, Styles, I'm coming for you.
Right. Yeah, I like that.
The way Joe does, because that's such a Joe thing to do. So yeah, Joe goes after AJ Styles, obviously, and the WWE Championship, because as I said earlier in the night, AJ Styles retained. So that is a pretty detailed overview of what I'm planning for the Rumble. There's going to be some stuff in there with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn and Chris Jericho and all that stuff. But then the following night on Raw, there are two big things that I wanted to do.
Right.
First thing was I wanted to have Seth Rollins challenge Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship. And I wanted that match to go to basically a double count out, because Kevin Owens gets involved and Chris Jericho shows up, and it's just a big schmoz to go off the air.
Right.
But the other thing I wanted to really do was I am doing something a little bit different with the United States Championship, because of Jericho dropping the United States Championship in the ring to try and help Kevin Owens retain the Universal title. Mick Foley freaks out, because Mick Foley is this huge mark for respecting championships. He strips Jericho of the United States title and sets up a tournament that Jericho is a part of to crown a new United States champion. He says, Jericho, the only reason you won that United States title in the first place is because it was a handicap match against Roman Reigns. There was nothing fair about that. And then you don't even respect the title enough to not let it touch the ground. You dropped it into the ring. I can't let this stand. If you want the United States Championship, you're going to have to earn it this time. And he puts him in this tournament, right?
Oh, dude. You'll understand later why I'm laughing, but that's the craziest shit that you thought of that. But please continue.
Okay. So Jericho is on one side of the bracket, and let's just say he goes through like Kofi Kingston and Cesaro to get to the finals, right?
Right.
On the other side, we'll have Sami Zayn versus Sheamus, where Sami Zayn wins, and then Sami Zayn versus maybe like Carl Anderson or something like that. Regardless, the finals are Zayn versus Jericho. Zayn wins the United States Championship.
That's fucking awesome. I love that.
So Sami Zayn is your United States champion going into Fastlane. And then obviously at Fastlane, we would do Zayn versus Jericho for the U.S. title. But we'll get to that later. John, tell me about your post-Rumble Raw, if you have anything for it.
Well, I'll tell you, it ain't going to compare to that. But Stephanie and Triple H, they're fucking livid. They are livid that Rollins got one over on them and that Kevin Owens lost the Universal Championship. It's at this point that Triple H starts giving a lot of shit to Kevin Owens. And he's like, I can't believe you did this. I mean, you're supposed to be fight Owens fight. What even was that? Like, get your head out of your ass. And it's both a combination of genuine frustration and Triple H himself I can't believe Seth Rollins got one over on me. So Triple H says, okay, I'm going to fix this. I'm going to make this right. Rollins, if you're really man enough to face me, like, don't just go to SmackDown when you finally get to play the game. Because you finally got to play the game and you decided you didn't want to do it anymore, so you tuck your tail and you go to SmackDown. No, if you want to play the game, let's finish it. I challenge you at Elimination Chamber for your WrestleMania title shot. You know, if you lose, you no longer main event WrestleMania. And Rollins, hearing this, says, you know, okay, but I did make a promise before I left the B show, and I said that I was going to tear this machine apart. So if you're going to have me wager something, I want you guys to wager your position as the authority. So it's the authority's power versus Seth's WrestleMania main event, Triple H versus Rollins at Elimination Chamber. We get that set up on the first Raw. What we also get set up on this Raw is the idea that, look, even if Seth does lose his main event, that doesn't really help our situation any. We need a main event. So what we're going to do is, obviously, we have Kevin Owens in a return match against this seemingly changing Roman Reigns for the Universal title. So that return match would be on my card. But we're also going to do a Raw Rumble match, you know, kind of paying homage to 04 when Eddie Guerrero won the SmackDown Rumble. We're doing something similar here. That'll be the main event of Fastlane, 15 Raw superstars. Winner of that completes the other half of the equation. That'll be your Universal Championship match at WrestleMania. So we're already thinking ahead to Fastlane. Also on this show, you know, Cesaro and Sheamus, who, by the way, they lost their Raw Tag Team titles. They get a return match on Raw that night. Doesn't go well. There's another miscue. And Cesaro and Sheamus, they're over it. They start brawling again. So their feud's picking right back up. And that's going to be important later. But they're both going to be in the Raw Rumble match. And I think those are all the key things I'm doing for Raw. Oh, and yeah, I mean, Jericho is still U.S. champion. He's having more lower card title defenses. I'm having him work with guys like Darren Young and the like. So they get that kind of experience. And the U.S. title gets that kind of shine a little bit. But yeah, that's it on the Raw side. SmackDown side, I think the biggest thing coming out of that is that John Cena and AJ Styles are going to have a 2 out of 3 falls match at Chamber. You know, must be a winner kind of thing. The Intercontinental Championship is going to be defended in an Elimination Chamber match. I actually have in my notes, if you give me a second, who is going to be in that. Oh my God, I took so many notes. I am so sorry. But I think, yeah, because, yeah, that was a part of another program. One thing I should mention, Ty Dillinger debuted at my Rumble. That was one important thing I forgot to mention. At number 10, he eliminates The Miz because Miz actually does regain the Intercontinental Championship in this build-up. But that'll be at Chamber because the Elimination Chamber match is Dean Ambrose as the champion, Miz, Dolph Ziggler, Apollo Crews, Baron Corbin, and Ty Dillinger. Ty Dillinger, you know, really bragging about how he eliminated Miz. Miz is like, I'm looking past you. Ty Dillinger earns his way into the Chamber, you know, beating Miz that night in a one-on-one match.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm starting Dillinger off hot. And what else do I have? Oh, yeah, and a women's elimination chamber because Becky beat the Dark La Luchadora. It's going to be Alexa Bliss as the champion, Becky Lynch. Again, I did have it as Mickie James, but if it really is Deonna Purrazzo, we'll just change it to her. I really don't care. Nikki Bella, Carmella, and Naomi in the SmackDown Women's Championship Elimination Chamber. So 2 chamber matches, Intercontinental and Women's, and John Cena, AJ Styles, 2 out of 3 falls. That all gets set up on the SmackDown. So we're going straight ahead to Chamber. So yeah, that's what I have there.
Nice. So, okay. On SmackDown, because SmackDown, I'm still looking right at the post-Royal Rumble airing of Raw and SmackDown. On SmackDown, Shane or Daniel Bryan, doesn't matter who, announces a fatal 4-way match to determine who will face Alexa Bliss in a singles match next week to determine who will face Becky Lynch for the SmackDown Women's Championship at the Elimination Chamber. So we're doing multiple matches to find a number 1 contender. And in the Fatal 4-Way match, we've got Emma, Natalya, Nikki Bella, and Carmella.
Nice.
Emma destroys everyone and wins. I don't care.
Yeah.
So that's Emma. Let's just say, for the sake of kind of maintaining integrity here, that Nikki Bella and Natalya kind of brawl outside of the ring while Emma gets Carmella to tap out to the Emma lock.
I like that. Yeah.
So that's for that. Then the following week we have Emma versus Alexa Bliss for number one contendership. Same exact result. Emma just rolls over Alexa Bliss like it's nothing. Emma is dominant on this run.
Yeah, definitely.
So that sets up Emma versus Becky Lynch at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, one-on-one. As far as the world title goes, as I said, I had AJ Styles retain, but we need Elimination Chamber competitors to compete with AJ. We know Samoa Joe is on SmackDown now. He's officially signed his contract. He will not be in the Elimination Chamber match because he already has a shot at the universe or at the WWE title at WrestleMania. So he doesn't need to be in the chamber. So AJ Styles is in the chamber because he's defending. John Cena is in the chamber because he did not get pinned at the Royal Rumble. Those are locks. We need 4 other competitors. So we have Baron Corbin in a match against Kalisto, Dolph Ziggler in a match against Apollo Crews, The Miz in a match against Dean Ambrose, and I think like a battle royal. Yeah, a battle royal to determine the 6th member.
Nice, nice. I really like that, dude.
It'll be like like you said, like 15, maybe 20 if we have enough people on the roster. Probably 10 if we're being more realistic. SmackDown has a tiny roster. But with all the tag team members, we can probably get it up to 20. So what I would do, I would have Corbin beat Kalisto, Ziggler beats Apollo Crews, Miz and Ambrose. It doesn't really matter who wins. I would say The Miz. The Miz beats Ambrose. Obviously, Maurice helps, but regardless, Ambrose wins the Battle Royal. So those guys are both in this. Your final Elimination Chamber is Ambrose, Cena, Corbin, Styles, Ziggler, and Miz.
Nice.
Okay, let me take a second to look over my notes here. I still need to talk about the Intercontinental Championship, right?
Yes.
Okay, Intercontinental Championship. Ambrose has the IC title. And The Miz cheated to beat him, so Daniel Bryan's not going to reward The Miz a match against Ambrose. However, we are going to have an interaction between Cena and Ambrose on this show. And really, we're going to have a lot of interactions because of all 6 guys being in the chamber. But the big ones I want to emphasize are Ambrose and Cena, Ambrose and Corbin, and Cena and Corbin. Those guys are going to be interacting a lot on the way to the chamber. Of course, Ambrose and Corbin are both going to be going after Cena for being washed up, a has-been, a part-timer, all that stuff. Ambrose and Cena are gold on the mic, so I didn't even want to say, like, oh, then he says this, and then he says that, because they just give them a mic and let them talk. It doesn't freaking matter what they say. They'll sell a match with just being able to go. Baron Corbin is kind of eyeing up every championship. Like he's kind of got a backup plan where even if he doesn't win the chamber, he'll just go after Ambrose to get the Intercontinental title.
Right. Okay.
So that's kind of all being set up, but those guys are all in the chamber match, right?
Yeah.
For the SmackDown Tag Team Championships, I am gonna do sort of a weird like Battle of the Bulls-esque thing, where I'm gonna have 4 tag team matches with all of the winning tag teams being in a fatal 4-way tag team match to determine number 1 contenders for Chad Gable and Jason Jordan's tag titles.
Okay, I like that.
Okay. I also wanted to point out at the Royal Rumble that I do have Luke Harper and Randy Orton eliminating each other before Bray Wyatt even got to the ring. So that's a big key point there.
Okay. All right.
So, and because of that, none of the members of the Wyatt family are even trying to go after the tag titles anymore. They just, Harper and Orton hate each other, and Bray is just kind of trying to like separate himself from that whole situation.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Harper and Orton hate each other. Wyatt is trying to just kind of, he's distancing himself from Harper and Orton because he, like, no matter how much he tries to get these guys to just chill the hell out and try and get along, they just hate each other too much. So Wyatt is backing away, kind of leaving his family, kind of abandoning the family. Even though it's named after him, he's sick of their shit. So he's backing away from it. Like there'll be like a vignette where those guys will like be staring each other down and Bray will just look at one and then look at the other and then just walk off the set completely.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
So Bray is just kind of abandoning the family, right? But then the tag team championship, number 1 contendership stuff, the 4 tag team matches, We're going to do the Vaudevillains versus the Hype Bros. Obviously, the Hype Bros, we need, I don't know if Zack Ryder will be back, but in our fantasy world, if it's not Zack Ryder, Mojo Rawley gets like Kurt Hawkins to be his partner, Like
Yeah.
it's just a generic team that can lose to the Vaudevillains is basically what it comes down to.
Right.
And then we can also do the Ascension versus the Headbangers in a, who has the weirder looking face paint match. I don't know.
Yeah.
We would do the Usos versus the Lucha Dragons with Sin Cara making his SmackDown debut.
Nice.
And we would do, I'm trying to remember what the other, excuse me. We would do Breezango versus name a heel tag team on SmackDown, John.
Breezango versus, okay, you already have the Ascension booked in something. You already have the Usos booked in something. I don't really know if I can think of a heel team, bro. Because, yeah, Slater and Rhino are face. Yeah.
Well, then let's do Breezango. Let's do Breezango versus the Headbangers and Slater and Rhino versus the Ascension. Let's do that.
Okay, yeah, that works.
So Slater and Rhino lose to the Ascension, but we have the Headbangers also losing to Breezango. The Vaudevillains win, and I forget what the other match was. Oh, the Usos win. The Usos win. So then the Usos defeat the Breezango, and the Ascension defeats the Vaudevillains, and then the Usos defeat the Ascension. So all this schmaz, the Usos are your number one contenders, and we're going to have the Usos versus the American Alpha at Elimination Chamber.
Nice. I love that. Excellent.
Whew! That was a tough one. I know I wanted to make it complicated, but I didn't realize that it would actually make me confused. So far at Chamber, we have the Elimination Chamber match. We have Emma versus Becky Lynch. For an Intercontinental title match, I'm going to have Ambrose. Actually, Ambrose isn't going to defend his title because he's in the Elimination Chamber.
Okay.
We're going to have Natalya versus Nikki Bella. Because obviously they were brawling during the four-way number one contender match, so they still hate each other. So we're going to just let them have it out in a singles match. Might even be a no DQ match, maybe like a loser leaves SmackDown match. I like that. Loser leaves SmackDown, Natalya versus Nikki Bella. That's a win-win. And then we're also going to have the tag title match be American Alpha versus the Usos and Luke Harper versus Randy Orton because they hate each other so much.
I love it. You want me to run down just my Chamber card real quick, or
and how you got there? Yes.
Yeah. Again, we know that we're gonna have an Intercontinental Championship Chamber match. Let me pull up my notes here. I think I already went over how that's going to be Miz, Dean Ambrose as champion, which, by the way, he does exercise his rematch clause on the lead up to Chamber because he wants to go into Chamber as the champion. It's kind of a pride thing, but Ambrose does beat him one-on-one. So it's Miz, Ambrose is still the champion, Dolph Ziggler, Apollo Crews, Baron Corbin, and Ty Dillinger. We have our first ever SmackDown Women's Championship Elimination Chamber because, Becky Lynch is finally back on track after beating Deonna Purrazzo. But other women have been doing well, too, so they figured put them all together. It's going to be Becky Lynch, Deonna Purrazzo, Alexa Bliss, Nikki Bella, and Carmella, and Naomi as the 6 women there. I have Randy Orton versus Bray Wyatt because Randy Orton actually eliminated Bray Wyatt from the Rumble. That's where he executes the turn. And now Bray is just like really disgusted with himself. And that's going to be important too later, their Chamber match. But I'll get into why when we actually go through our results of Chamber. Tag titles, I'll be honest, I really didn't put much thought, but I just figured I'd have American Alpha versus the Usos. And really, I didn't even take like the path of them actually earning contendership. I just thought maybe, I don't know, they attack and they send a message. You did something really great with the tag teams. I envy that. And of course, the main event, we have got John Cena versus AJ Styles, 2 out of 3 falls for the WWE Championship. Oh, and let's not forget our interpromotional kind of grudge match, Seth Rollins versus Triple H, Authority versus WrestleMania main event. So that's my Chamber card.
Okay, and who goes over?
Okay, we have American Alpha retaining, We have Miz regaining the Intercontinental Championship, last pinning Ty Dillinger after Maurice slides like a pipe into the chamber, cracks it over Dillinger's ribs, gets the skull-crushing finale, gets the pinfall. So just important to note that he did use a foreign object. We have Becky Lynch regain the SmackDown Women's Championship, last eliminating Alexa Bliss, so really putting the cap on that feud. But, and this is where things start to get a little crazy, much like Shawn Michaels did with The Undertaker, we have Paige emerging from the chamber floor, and she starts beating the hell out of Becky Lynch. I mean, it is an ass whooping, and the crowd just doesn't know what to make of it. Paige poses with Becky Lynch's Women's Championship. So Paige has returned, and she is a member of the SmackDown roster. Let's see, what else is my card? I have AJ Styles beating John Cena. Two falls to one, obviously. The finish comes when he nails an Avalanche Styles clash and then follows it up with a phenomenal forearm. So AJ Styles proving once again he is better than John Cena. And as far as, I have Randy Orton beating Bray Wyatt, and Luke Harper kind of walks off in disgust, and we'll follow that on the post-Chamber SmackDown. And in our big main event of Seth Rollins versus Triple H, I have Triple H beating Seth Rollins thanks to assistance from AJ Styles. So AJ Styles turning on SmackDown, helping the Raw brand, and more importantly, helping himself because he didn't want to face Seth at WrestleMania by helping Triple H. So Triple H, closes the show triumphant, and Brian and Shane are fucking livid. So that's my chamber card.
Okay. Whew. Wow. This is a lot. Okay. So I forgot to mention just a few things. I did mention already that we were going to get the explanation for why Emma was on SmackDown on Talking Smack. And it is going to be either Shane or Brian or both. It would actually be better if it was both because it's like the administrative stuff. So
Right.
If it's both of them, they can kind of bounce off of each other. But the whole point is Raw spent that entire time building up Emma. And the reason that it was taking so long for them to pull the trigger on her debut is because they were trying to negotiate a contract with her. But before they were able to arrive at a compromise where both sides are happy, her contract ran out. So SmackDown signed her, and they actually talked to her, and they found out that Raw and the executives at Raw and Stephanie McMahon and Triple H were actually the ones that were pushing her to embrace this new Emelina character, and that she told them that she hated it and that she would rather just do what she's been doing and just go back to being an ass kicker. And they just kind of said, okay, well, fine. Well, we didn't sign Emelina. We signed you as a performer, and we know you're amazing, so you can just do what you want. And that's why she's back on SmackDown, and it's just evil Emma.
I love it. I think that's great.
So we're using the whole like SmackDown and Raw and contract controversy kind of stuff to be able to get Emma on SmackDown. And then Shane and Daniel can kind of riff about it too and talk about like, we got like 6 months of free advertising for a superstar that we just signed. It was great. And thanks, Raw, that kind of stuff. So yeah, we can kind of go there and kind of make it comedic. I think Emma would probably be on Talking Smack and just talk about how she's sick of being jerked around. She's sick of being treated like a second-class citizen. She is everything that you could possibly want from a female superstar, and she's there to prove that she is the best in the company and in the world.
Yeah, I love that, dude. I love that she's got that chip on her shoulder. That's great.
So that's that whole thing. But then there was actually an entire storyline that I kind of forgot to mention on Raw, on the Raw side. All the tag teams are beating each other for some reason. You've got the Revival showing up the night after the Royal Rumble and defeating Sheamus and Cesaro for the tag team championships. But then on that same night, you also had Enzo and Cass beating Gallows and Anderson, and the New Day beating the Shining Stars. So all of the tag teams are beating each other. And from the time we get from this episode of Raw to the time we get to the Fastlane pay-per-view, I think all 6 of those tag teams will have beaten each other at least once, with the exception of the Shining Stars, who maybe get like a lucky win over Enzo and Cass because of a distraction or something like that, but then pretty much just job to everyone else.
Right.
So just wanted to establish that. Past that, though, we can go back to Fastlane, or back to the Elimination Chamber. I'm going to have Harper and Orton go to a double countout because those guys are just going to beat the hell out of each other throughout the arena, and there will be no conclusive finish to that match. They just, even throughout the night, like it'll be like the tag titles, the Usos versus American Alpha, but for some reason we get a shot of Harper and Orton brawling through the parking lot as this is happening, even though their match has been over for like 45 minutes.
Right.
Like they just
That's
hate
crazy.
each other, and there's no
Yeah.
real reason why. But it's kind of implied that even though everyone was convinced that Orton was going to turn on Bray, that he actually was like really happy under the Wyatt family umbrella, and that he felt like Harper was trying to kind of, you know, like conspiracy theory, like he thought Harper was kind of targeting him and out to get him and trying to like expose him. Like Harper was one of the people who was convinced that Orton was going to turn on Bray, even though Orton had no intention to. So Harper kept on like poking and prodding, like, I know you're going to turn on us, Randy. Just do it and stop trying to keep up this facade. And Orton's just like, no, I like where I'm at here. This feels right. I want to be in this family. This is the closest thing I've had to family in a really long time. Don't try and take this away from me. So eventually these guys just explode, eliminate each other at the Royal Rumble, like I said. Constant brawling on episodes of SmackDown leading up to Chamber. And then at the Chamber pay-per-view, they have a match, but it only lasts like 7 or 8 minutes before it gets thrown out because of the constant brawling outside the ring.
Bro, I love that so fucking much. That's great. That's amazing. Right.
So Natalya versus Nikki, we have Nikki Bella defeating Natalya with the forearm, and it's not just a forearm, it's a GTS style forearm where she gets her up in a fireman's carry and then drops her down and hits her with the forearm when Natalya lands on her feet.
Right.
So Nikki Bella wins. Becky Lynch versus Emma. I have Emma obliterating Becky Lynch and actually getting Becky Lynch to tap out in less than 10 minutes in this match.
Wow. Yeah.
Emma's dominant. I'm telling you, Emma is dominant in my fantasy booking. So
yeah,
it's huge. So then tag championships, I actually have the Usos defeating American Alpha to win the SmackDown tag titles. And they do it with the Tequila Sunrise. Gable taps out.
Nice. Excellent.
So then the Elimination Chamber match rolls around. And I have it being a little bit more interesting. I actually have Baron Corbin and Dean Ambrose teaming up to eliminate John Cena, where will do kind of a combination move where Corbin hits the end of days on Cena, but then Cena kind of is still up on his feet, even though he's basically out on his feet. And then Ambrose hits Dirty Deeds to put Cena away. So Cena's out.
Right, right.
But then as soon as Cena gets eliminated, Ambrose immediately hits Corbin with another Dirty Deeds. Corbin kicks out at 2, but it was just kind of that moment where like they were just working together, and now all of a sudden these guys are like at each other's throats again. But then while Ambrose is distracted by like the shock that Corbin kicked out of the Dirty Deeds, Styles comes out of nowhere, fatal or a phenomenal forearm, eliminates Ambrose. So we're down to 4 now. It's Corbin, Styles, Ziggler, and Miz. Dolph Ziggler ends up getting eliminated by AJ Styles, and then Baron Corbin gets eliminated by The Miz to everyone's shock. But the thing is, even though we're down to a babyface AJ Styles and The Miz, Bray Wyatt comes up out of the ring and just destroys The Miz. Hits him with a crossbody, hits him with the Sister Abigail, and just backs away for AJ Styles to get the win. Miz lasted to the final 2, but then Bray Wyatt cost The Miz the world title.
I love that. That's a very interesting development for sure.
So that's my Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. We are moving through this quickly. Up next is the Fastlane pay-per-views, John. So anything that we have that we can build up to the Fastlane pay-per-view with, we can talk about here. I'm going to go first because I just talked about the Chamber. And like I said, we're kind of flip-flopping here. So for Fastlane, my main event of Fastlane is Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship. But it goes to a double countout. Why? Because Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens both show up. And Kevin Owens specifically apron power bombs both Rollins and Reigns.
Okay, nice. Nice.
So, and the reason that it's a double count out, or maybe even a double disqualification, it would probably be, is because Jericho and Owens both attack Rollins and Reigns at about the same time. So you can't really make a call there. So they just throw the match out, double count out. Rollins gets power bombed because what I'm trying to kind of paint the visual here. Jericho is feeding bodies to Owens. So Owens is standing next to the apron. Jericho hits a code breaker, and the person kind of falls into Owens' waiting arms, and he hits the apron powerbomb. And they do the exact same thing twice, once to Rollins, once to Reigns. So they take out Rollins and Reigns, but it's mostly Owens doing the work. Jericho still has his match earlier in the night against Sami Zayn, which he wins by disqualification.
Yes. Okay.
By disqualification. So Jericho wins because Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens get into a fight. So, Kevin Owens hitting Sami Zayn would cause Sami Zayn to win. So that's not helpful. Jericho wins via disqualification. Maybe Jericho pulls an Eddie Guerrero and he goes to hit Sami with the title. Ref turns around, he tosses the title, hits a back bump, and it looks like Sami used the title even though it was all Jericho.
Yeah,
Referee rings the bell. Jericho's the winner via disqualification, and Sami Zayn is angry, but he still has the title.
Yes. Okay. I like that.
So that's that. Bayley versus Charlotte is happening again on this show, but Bayley retains with a middle rope Bayley to belly. Charlotte is out of the women's championship picture for good.
Excellent.
Another big match I have on the show is Braun Strowman versus the Big Show, because Big Show eliminated Strowman from the Rumble. So the whole build-up to this would be Strowman coming out to attack Big Show after Big Show has already won a match, just because then it's like a worn-down Big Show and Strowman taking advantage of a weakened opponent. But yeah, Strowman comes out, beats up Big Show a bunch. We get the match. Strowman wins clean.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's that. And then for a tag team championship match, because like I said, the Revival are your tag team champions on Raw at this point. They came out and defeated Sheamus and Cesaro the first night after the Royal Rumble was over, and they have just been cutting promos constantly. All these teams on Raw think that the only thing that matters is the fans and being funny and being comedy acts, but we have no interest in being funny. We're the Revival. We don't do flips. We just use our fists. We don't care about making you laugh. We just care about winning. And if you don't believe us, look at the hardware. And then they clink top guys out. That's their whole shtick, running up from the moment they win the tag titles all the way up until Fastlane. They are just harping like, oh, the New Day are a bunch of clowns. Gallows and Anderson think they're funny with the whole ski and ring postitis bits that they've been doing. Enzo and Cass are a couple of clowns. Sheamus and Cesaro think they're like this hilarious odd couple when they're just a couple of guys that hate each other that got stuck together. And the Shining Stars, you can't even take them seriously because they're more interested in selling freaking timeshares than actually winning championships. So that the constant berating of the rest of the tag teams on Raw, and of course Golden Truth are irrelevant, but they're also a comedy act. Every single tag team on Raw is a comedy act of some kind. And the Revival comes in, takes everything very seriously, and immediately wins the titles and just runs down everyone. But they do take losses to the New Day, Enzo and Cass, and Sheamus and Cesaro on the way to Fastlane. So that's the Fatal 4-Way right there. 4-way tag team championship match. It's not elimination. It's just first fall to a finish. And the Revival win when they hit a shatter machine on Enzo Amore and pick up the pin on him.
Love it. Excellent.
So that's that whole thing. And then I also had the Cruiserweight Championship being built up. Night after Royal Rumble, we get a big debut because Team DIY lost the tag titles to the Authors of Pain at NXT TakeOver San Antonio in this timeline. Johnny Gargano debuts on Raw and takes on and defeats Drew Gulak in a one-on-one match. But then after the match, Neville comes out and he says, oh, I hope that you're satisfied with beating a guy that I've already beaten a dozen times. Gargano, you're worthless. You're the scrawniest piece of garbage in this division. And I am the true king of the cruiserweights, and you'll never be able to touch me. So the next week, we get Gargano versus Tony Nese. Gargano gets hit with everything in Nese's arsenal. He's clinging to his life by the skin of his teeth, and he finds a way to lock in Gargano escape for the win. Again, Neville comes out, berates Gargano. This time he gets in the ring and actually gets physical with Gargano, kicks him a bunch, beats him down, hits the red arrow, and walks out as, again, still the cruiserweight, king of the cruiserweights. I do have Neville winning the cruiserweight championship before all of this happens. Whether it's on 205 Live or the Royal Rumble doesn't really matter. He's the champion, right?
Right.
So then we get to another episode of Raw, and we have Neville defending against TJ Perkins. Johnny Gargano comes out, distracts Neville. Perkins goes for a roll-up, actually pins Neville for the title. So we have TJ Perkins as the champion going into Fastlane, Neville versus TJ Perkins for the Cruiserweight Championship.
Nice. Okay.
So that, I think I might have outlined all of my all of my Fastlane matches. The important ones are Sami Zayn versus Chris Jericho.
Right.
U.S. Championship. The Fatal 4-Way for the tag titles. Rollins versus Reigns for the Universal title. Bayley versus Charlotte for the women's title. Strowman versus Big Show. And Neville versus Perkins for the Cruiserweight title.
Yeah, excellent. Excellent. Yeah, man, you're kicking my ass right now, man. All right. Before we get into mine, I think it's important we all take a deep breath because I'm going to be doing a lot of recapping as far back as Rumble.
No. I'm not done.
Oh, sorry.
I had two other matches that I wanted to do here. One of them is kind of like a kind of unlikely one, but the other one is probably actually going to happen at a later date. Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg is a Fastlane match for me, and I know you're doing this too. And I will be perfectly open and honest when I tell everyone that I stole this from John. I'm going to have Goldberg versus Brock at Fastlane, just obliterate Goldberg. Not like a 90-second thing, but like what he did to John Cena at Extreme Rules 2012 without the comeback win from the other guy. Brock just obliterates Goldberg. Like, people are legitimately concerned, like, is Goldberg hurt? And then to finish the match, this was my idea. You didn't give me this one. Brock does the Kimura and breaks Goldberg's shoulder and arm.
See, I like that because, as you know, with my original one, I also have like a career-ending spot, but it wasn't that. But I love yours because, that appeals to the MMA.
Brock breaks Goldberg's arm, and because of this, the referee ends the match. Goldberg never actually gets pinned or submitted. He just loses due to ref decision. Goldberg is protected. He never taps out. He never gets pinned for a 3 count. He just his arm got broken. He can't defend himself. Referee calls for the bell. Brock wins. Then the other match that I wanted to say on this card, again, really weird, but The Undertaker is a Raw superstar now, and I wanted to have him in a match before WrestleMania to kind of reestablish that he is the man. So I actually had The Undertaker going against Rusev on my Fastlane card, with The Undertaker going over, obviously, but he gets beat to shit by Rusev, and Rusev locks him in the Accolade for a good 5 minutes in this match.
Oh, nice, dude. Nice.
So just when it looks like Taker's about to pass out, he powers through, choke slam, tombstone, win, but it is a freaking brawl to the death. And Taker barely makes that alive. And then the following night on Raw, Rusev, it comes out without any kind of like tape or sling or cast or anything, and he is ready to go. He's not even hurt. He's not injured. He knows that he was in a war with Taker, but he knows that Taker is in way worse shape than he is.
Right, exactly, yes. Okay.
So that's my Fastlane card, guys. It's big, but it's really stacked.
That's what she said. Okay. If we're gonna do this, and this is the point where I'm just like, oh, please, Morgan Freeman, have my back on this one, because this may all go to shit for me. But we're all gonna take a deep breath for a second, because I'm gonna do a lot of recapping from Rumble to put everything together. Now, Ashton, if you don't mind, I apologize. Before I get into Fastlane, I have stuff that goes on SmackDown, and because they don't have another pay-per-view, I just want to take care of that first so that everybody knows. Is that all right?
We can come back to that before we go to WrestleMania.
Okay, all right then. Well, you saying that, then I will just focus on my Fastlane card. Obviously, as you guys know, the two biggest matches, we have got Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship in a return match. Roman Reigns is feeling very cocky, very arrogant. He's coming out in the 3-piece suits. He's saying the lines we all love. oh, I just adjusted my clock because it's Roman Reigns time, and just really feeling himself. Kevin Owens, on the other hand, you got people questioning him a little bit. Triple H, again, giving him shit like, I got done my job at Chamber. You've got to get your job done at Fastlane. And honestly, Kev, like the way I've been seeing you lately, he tells him flat out, I don't think you can beat Roman Reigns. So Kevin Owens has been getting a lot of shit left and right. He's really about to snap because Roman Reigns just keeps getting these like verbal jabs at him. And when it comes to interactions, like Kevin Owens is still winning matches. He's beating, guys here and there and kind of going in that tweener mix, but Roman Reigns just continues to laugh at him, rub him off like, I'm freaking Roman Reigns. One important thing that happens on the go-home show, at least for the main event match, I'll be saying this a lot for all the matches, there's a contract signing between Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns doesn't even show up. He shows up via satellite because he feels like the city is so worthless, like his stock would drop if he stepped foot in that city. So he doesn't even acknowledge Kevin Owens enough that he shows up to his own contract signing. He does it all via satellite. Kevin Owens is fucking livid at this point. He's tired of the games. He's tired of Triple H questioning him. This is all obviously pointing towards a babyface turn, if you couldn't tell. But the cherry on top of the sundae is Chris Jericho interrupts. Now, he hasn't defended his U.S. title. I'm going to say right now, he doesn't defend it at Fastlane. He is an entrant in the Raw Rumble match, so that's kind of his out. And he says, Kevin, I know you're feeling a bit down right now, but it's okay because Team Chris and Kevin, we're going to be back on top when I win the Raw Rumble and I make up one half of the Universal Championship match at WrestleMania. And Kevin kind of smiles a little bit, but he notices that Jericho really didn't mention anything about him. And then he says, yeah, I agree. Team Kevin and Chris. I'm going to beat Roman Reigns. I'm going to regain the championship. And then Chris is like, I got to stop you there, Kevin, because now he's just like needling him. You know how Y2J can be a dick. And he says, Kevin, the reason it's Team Chris and Kevin is that I'm a big believer that the champion's name should always be first. And then he's about to call Kevin like a stupid idiot, after lecturing him, like, I feel like you've lost focus. Like, can you really beat Roman Reigns? Pretty much parroting Triple H. And, he's about to call him a stupid idiot. He's like, you stupid idiot. And then he makes a face because he realizes it almost fully came out. And Owens is just looking at him like, this motherfucker. And Roman Reigns isn't even here for me to punch somebody. So then Kevin Owens just lays out Jericho. He pop-up powerbombs him through the contract table. And that's how Kevin Owens ends. Like, the crowd is going nuts that Kevin Owens has just lost it. This is full fight Owens fight right now. So just wanted to give all that in detail. Obviously, again, the Raw Rumble, we know that Sheamus and Cesaro, they're no longer a tag team. They lost their rematch clause on an episode of Raw, and they're just beating the shit out of each other. Rivalry completely renewed. Stephanie says, you know what? You guys are going to get your chance to beat the crap out of each other. You're both in the Raw Rumble. So that's what those guys are doing. Women's Championship. And I'm going to need you guys to bear with me. I have got Sasha versus Charlotte, 9 million. Sasha's the champion, though. She actually said, I took care of Nia Jax because we'll say that she beat Nia at Rumble. That's just something I'll add in last minute there. I'm ready to move back on. I'm the boss again. I'm feeling my swagger. And we know that Sasha can always beat Charlotte on TV. So surprise, surprise, she does it again. We're doing the rematch here at Fastlane, Sasha versus Charlotte. That's the Raw Women's Championship. I have got the club taking on the team. Actually, I really didn't think that far ahead, but I've got the club. You know what? I think because the club's whole thing is that the tag team division is a joke and really like they're here to make it serious, I'm going to have them go against the epitome of jokes. I'm going to give Golden Truth a title shot, especially because recently we know that controversial segment of Carl Anderson tearing the head off of Goldust's Dusty Bear. So we'll just say, like, they really got serious, and now they're going to face the club for the Raw Tag titles. For the Cruiserweight Championship, I have Neville, who also beat Swan at Rumble. He's going in as the champion. He's saying he's the king of the Cruiserweights. Like, he is the division. I mean, head as big as can be. When all of a sudden Kota Ibushi's music hits, he says that Neville isn't the king of the Cruiserweights. He's the best, cruiserweight in the world. Just, not even WWE, in the whole goddamn world. So we have Neville versus Kota Ibushi. Okay, so let's see. Raw Rumble, Universal Championship, Raw Tag Titles, Cruiserweight title, and Women's Championship. So yeah, I think that just about makes my Raw card. And I should also mention two other participants in the Raw Rumble that really have just been furious with each other: Finn Balor and Braun Strowman. Remember, Balor eliminated Strowman in the actual Rumble, and then Strowman took it out on Balor. He eliminated him, and Balor's just been fucking livid because this was his big comeback, right, from the huge injury. He wanted to go to WrestleMania. He wanted to be Universal Champion. So him and Braun have been fighting a lot, but Braun, as you can imagine, keeps getting the upper hand. Like he's massive. And also a little tie in there, the New Day, because I can't forget about them. New Day at Royal Rumble. Xavier Woods eliminates Kofi, and he's kind of laughing about it and smiling. But then Big E comes up from behind. He tosses out Xavier Woods, and Xavier Woods does his cry face like, why? And Big E's just kind of looking at him like, man, shouldn't have done that, man. We were a team. And you can see the tension, like, after that, like, just being like, oh, well, I eliminated you. And then he's like, well, who cares? I eliminated you. And they're just all kind of needling each other. But you can see that the team isn't the same. They keep losing 6-man matches and even, like, standard, tag team matches. Finally, Xavier walks out like he's had enough of this. And then he dons, like, his intellectual character that we thought he was going to have way back when it was just Kofi and Big E, and they were like the original New Day before they got awesome. And he's like, I've always been the brains of the New Day. Like, I have a PhD. I juggle this and school. I have my own YouTube channel. I'm the powerhouse that makes this work. Without Xavier Woods, New Day is nothing. And Kofi takes exception to that because he really looked at the New Day as kind of the revival of his career, and he put his back into it. So we have got Xavier Woods versus Kofi Kingston, and Big E's kind of a neutral party. Like, he's going to be out there, but not really in support of one guy or the other because he still wants to mend the group, but Kofi's just had enough of Xavier's shit. So yeah, that's my Fastlane card, I think. I checked all my boxes.
Awesome, dude. I love it. I did want to mention on my Fastlane card, you guys already know I had Bayley beating Charlotte to retain the women's championship via a middle rope Bayley to belly. But what I didn't mention there is that a lot like at the Royal Rumble, Sasha Banks comes out to celebrate and kind of make sure, no like Charlotte Dana Brooke double beat down on Bayley would happen, that kind of thing. But when Charlotte clears the arena,
right,
Sasha attacks Bayley.
Oh, nice.
Just clobbers her and poses with the title.
I love it, dude. I fucking love it.
Yeah, that was a big note that I wanted to get in there. So yeah, that's another big thing for Fastlane that I wanted to get in. So, okay, now everything is building up to WrestleMania. So let's go over the build to WrestleMania, and then in like the big blow off, we'll actually reveal our WrestleMania 33 cards. Build up to WrestleMania. Okay, you already know based on what I just said, Sasha versus Charlotte is going to be happening. Or Sasha versus Bayley, I apologize. Sasha versus Bayley for the Raw Women's Championship gets announced the night after. Literally one night later, we get Sasha versus Charlotte for number one contendership. Sasha wins, and Sasha is your new number one contender. She will face Bayley for the championship at WrestleMania, right?
Right.
So as far as the Rollins, Roman, Owens, Zayn, Jericho thing that I kind of have going on my show, because Jericho won via disqualification over Sami Zayn at Fastlane, he is entitled to a rematch. But when he gets the rematch, he walks out because he wants it not just on his time, but at WrestleMania. So
right.
Jericho wants Zayn at Mania. That's his big thing. And he wants Sami Zayn to be kind of embarrassed in front of everyone. He wants to embarrass Sami Zayn at WrestleMania by beating him in his first WrestleMania singles match for the United States Championship. So that's Jericho's angle going into Mania. On Raw leading up to WrestleMania, because there was like this big distraction with Gargano, Neville obliterates TJ Perkins. Neville beats TJ Perkins like 3 times in a row, including one of those matches being for the Cruiserweight Championship. So this was all kind of just my goal of reestablishing Neville as the dominant force and basically making TJ Perkins look like a bitch in the process. So
Right.
that's a thing. We get an announcement the night after Fastlane that Goldberg is injured and will be unable to compete at WrestleMania. So Goldberg says, you know what? Rather than just kind of ducking and tucking my tail between my legs and leaving, I am going to search this roster high and low to find a worthwhile replacement to take on Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. Someone that he thinks embodies everything that he stood for when he was young and could still go, but still has that youth and vigor that would allow a person to defeat Brock Lesnar, right?
Right.
So makes the announcement that he is not going to reveal who his chosen competitor is until WrestleMania. And he says this is kind of like a mind game because he knows that Brock Lesnar, when he fights someone, he likes to have a lot of time to prepare for that person. So he's not going to give Brock any time to prepare for his special replacement.
Okay. Okay.
On the same show, we get Undertaker coming out and announcing that he's also injured. But rather than waiting until WrestleMania, he figures he'll just let you guys know who's going to be taking on Rusev at WrestleMania for him right now. Lights go out. It's Finn Balor. He comes out as the Demon. The Demon Finn Balor is now the Undertaker's official replacement to take on Rusev at WrestleMania. And it is going to be the Undertaker taking the new Demon under his wing. And we are going to start building up a new WrestleMania streak with Finn Balor. So
Nice.
Finn's goal, because it's been established already, the Demon is at his best when the lights are at their brightest, and the lights are never brighter than at WrestleMania. So if the Demon was undefeated at NXT TakeOver Live specials for the longest time, and even to this date, he is undefeated at WWE pay-per-views, what the hell is it gonna take for anybody to beat him at a WrestleMania?
Yeah, I totally get you there. That's beautiful.
So that's huge. I also am going to do involving Owens and Reigns and Rollins because we already know that Sammy versus Jericho are going to be going at it at Mania. Roman Reigns is, he's kind of angry about the double disqualification, but he's also really smug. Like, you know what? I'm still champion, so all is right with the world. He's not full blown heel yet for me, like he is with you. I feel like you kind of really like went for that quickly. But in my kind of universe, Roman Reigns is kind of the same character he was right after this past WrestleMania, where he was like really cocky, really smug, like really into himself, and really like kind of taunting the fans a lot, but not necessarily like attacking other faces. Kind of like, because even with AJ Styles, like he didn't really attack AJ, he just questioned his credibility, which anybody would have done at that point because of how new AJ was to the WWE. But the one thing I do have Roman doing is I have him being like a complete and total dick to Kevin Owens, like making fat jokes, talking about how, you couldn't last 15 minutes with me. Look at you. Look at me. We're clearly not created equal, that kind of stuff.
Right.
And then and Rollins is kind of the third wheel, but he really asserts himself after Fastlane. Like, no, I will not be forgotten about. I still want to get my hands on Triple H. Roman Reigns, I owe you an ass beating. Kevin Owens, I owe you an ass beating. And these three guys are just constantly at each other's throats. So what happens? Stephanie McMahon comes out one night and she says, guys, you need to stop this. If you all hate each other this much and you all want the Universal Championship this much, you can have an opportunity at WrestleMania, because at WrestleMania it will be Roman Reigns defending the Universal Championship against Kevin Owens. And then the crowd boos, but then it would be, and Seth Rollins in a triple threat match. But then obviously the crowd would pop, but then when the crowd kind of comes back down, Steph kind of turns around and starts walking out like she's going to leave. But then as we kind of feel like we're going to like fade to a commercial, she comes out and she says, like, actually, guys, I wanted you to know that's not all. There's also going to be a little bit extra on this match. I am going to add a special guest referee, my husband, Triple H. And Triple H's music hits. He comes out rocking the black and white stripes with just the smuggest, most obnoxious, like, yeah, everyone, I've always got a plan B, smug, shit-eating grin on his face that makes you just want to punch him into next week.
Yeah, absolutely.
WrestleMania Raw main event. Owens, Roman, and Rollins for the Universal title with Triple H as the special guest referee. We have a kind of a weird thing where the Shining Stars get a super, like, ridiculously freaking fluky win over the Revival, where you just have Sheamus and Cesaro and Enzo and Cass and Gallows and Anderson into the New Day all brawling outside the ring. Let's make it a lumberjack match that just breaks down on the outside, distracts the Revival. Shining Stars pick up a win. So now every single one of the teams that were either at the ringside or in the ring have gotten a win over the Revival over the course of the last month, but the Revival are still champions. So we get a tag team turmoil set up for WrestleMania on the Raw side. The New Day versus Gallows and Anderson versus Enzo and Cass versus Sheamus and Cesaro versus the Shining Stars versus the Revival for the Raw Tag Team Championships in a gauntlet-style tag team turmoil match. So that's a huge freaking, like, that could take up 45 minutes for all we know. Another big one we already mentioned, Jericho versus Zayn. We're also going to build up to Neville versus Johnny Gargano, since we already had Neville kind of poking and prodding Gargano, and then Gargano cost Neville the Cruiserweight Championship the one time, but then Neville got it right back. So that's going to be another one that we build to. Sasha versus Bayley, you already know about. Brock Lesnar versus a special replacement for Goldberg. Rusev versus Finn Balor. And the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, I guess, could kind of count as a Raw thing since it's going to be mostly Raw people in it. So that's my Raw side of WrestleMania. John, you talk about your Raw side, and then I'll talk about my SmackDown side, and then you talk about your SmackDown side, and then we'll talk about results. So you go with your Raw side.
I can't wait to talk about my SmackDown side because that was me just tripping balls. But I should add, and I apologize that I keep going back. It's just a lot to keep track of, and I'm sure you can sympathize, partner. Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg is also on my Fastlane card. I mean, you even said, like, just Lesnar destroying Goldberg. That was originally my thing. I can't believe I forgot a match that I originally conceived. But yeah, Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg is also happening. So here is the Raw rundown of Fastlane that kind of shapes this WrestleMania card, at least somewhat. Like you, I have Brock Lesnar destroying Goldberg, and I even have him doing a post-match assault. Where we differ is you have him doing a Kimura lock, which I like, again, MMA, all that stuff. I have him being a bit more old school because I loved when he used to do this. He picks up Goldberg, he F5s his leg into the ring post. He shattered every ligament in Goldberg's knee. Goldberg's done. There's going to be no WrestleMania match. Like, the injuries are just too intense and just everything else. So Brock Lesnar destroys Goldberg and he ends his career. So now he's really gotten the win here because he eliminated Goldberg in the Rumble, and now he's done this. So I know we can't get all of Lesnar's mystique back and credibility, but I think this is major rehabilitation. With the tag titles, the club obviously retains, but I do want to keep up the narrative that they think everybody's a joke. There's too much comedy in the tag team division in their eyes, too much fun. Tag team wrestling is a science, it's an art, you know, and we're taking it seriously because we're the best there is, given everything they did in Japan and whatnot. For the Raw Women's Championship, I have Sasha Banks beating Charlotte thanks to an assist, unwilling, from Emma. She finally does show up. She assists, helps Sasha get the win. When Sasha realizes, though, that Emma helped her, she, of course, has beef with that, but Emma lays her out because she really has no dog in this fight. She just wanted to make sure that she could end the Sasha versus Charlotte matches ad nauseum and get herself in the picture. Sasha winning definitively was the only way to do that, so that was really Emma's machinations there. So Sasha does retain. When it comes to the Cruiserweight Championship, I have Kota Ibushi going over Neville. So Kota Ibushi is the new Cruiserweight Champion. With the New Day, I have Xavier Woods getting a dirty win, gets a handful of Kofi Kingston's tights. That's how he wins. And as he's walking off, he spits in Big E's face, literally. So Xavier Woods, he's just totally detached from reality. He thinks, I'm the smartest guy in the room. You all can just eat shit. I'm out. Obviously, again, United States Championship wasn't up for grabs. So that leads us to our really two big matches here. Now, I want to point out that before Fastlane, we have like an opening kind of backstage promo where Kevin Owens is kind of sitting in his locker room and he's thinking about stuff. You know, he's really stewing. And Sami Zayn comes in and he says, hey, man, look, I know you and I aren't on the best of terms. I still don't get why you did what you did to me, but I do remember there was a time that you were my best friend and I was your best friend too. And I'm hearing the way that Triple H is talking to you and all this stuff. Look, man, you can take my advice or you can leave it, but you don't need that crap. Don't listen to him. Go out there and fight Owens' fight tonight. Now, Kevin Owens doesn't say anything. He doesn't really affirm this or deny it. He's in another zone, right? Because it's the big rematch. But Zayn's just like, that's all I came to say, because I know tonight I'm punching my ticket to WrestleMania. And if you and I are destined to do this forever, I couldn't think of a better place to continue it than at WrestleMania. So Zayn leaves. Now, when it comes to Roman Reigns versus Owens, it is physical. It is a fucking fight. I mean, Owens is busted open at one point, but he's really working babyface. It really is, right? Like this aggressive, innovative Kevin Owens. At one point in the match, Roman Reigns hits Kevin Owens with a spear. Kevin Owens kicks out. And Reigns is just looking at it like, are you kidding me? Because nobody really ever kicks out of the spear. Kevin Owens digging down deep to get to WrestleMania. He kicks out. Roman Reigns takes out the referee out of frustration. And then he goes and grabs the Universal Championship, tries to use it. Kevin Owens battles back, gets the pop-up powerbomb, but there's no referee to make the count. Owens had the match won. He goes to check on the referee to no avail, goes back to Reigns. Reigns hits a low blow, gets the Universal Championship, cracks it across Owens' skull. 1, 2, Owens kicks out again, and this crowd cannot believe, like, Owens on this night just can't be beat. Reigns does that whole thing where he kind of backs up in the corner, like, what the fuck do I have to do? Who showed up tonight? Hits a second spear, though. That ends it. Reigns retains the Universal Championship. I just really had to emphasize, like, Owens had the fight of his fucking life. Like, this seals the deal. He is a babyface.
This is all on an episode of Raw that this is happening.
No, this is my Fastlane card, because now we're talking about what happens at Fastlane and then going into Mania. So, yeah.
I thought we already talked about who won our Fastlane matches, though.
Well, no, I mean, you did, and then now this is me because you handed it off to me. Because, yeah, that's the thing.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, like I did. Do I need to recap anything? You've been hearing everything I've been saying, though, right? No. Okay. So, and then we get to the Raw Rumble. Now, I actually have notes about the Raw Rumble that I just want to consult very quickly. Because really what it comes down to is this. The final four are Strowman, Balor, Jericho, and Zayn. Now, Strowman eliminates Balor here. And Balor, again, these issues with Strowman, what the fuck? And he gets a chair and he just wails on Strowman, just like really taking out all that frustration. There's no way now that he can be in the main event at WrestleMania. By the way, if we're talking about frustration, I should also note that Cesaro and Sheamus eliminated each other. They are so consumed with hatred, they got in the way of their own careers. That's important to note for my Mania card. So, yeah, they eliminate each other. So then Strowman never gets eliminated, though, because Balor, obviously, like, I can't lift up all that weight. He just wears him out with the chairs. And then Jericho and Zayn, they're looking at each other like, oh, man, this is our chance. And they try and double-team Strowman, get him eliminated, to no avail. Strowman eliminates Jericho. It comes down to Strowman and Zayn. Now, we already know the history that these two guys share. And Zayn actually does get the upper hand. He does eliminate Strowman, kind of the way that Benoit eliminated Big Show. He gets him in that, like, front face lock, and he pivots the weight, and that's able to get Strowman over the rope. So it's this big dramatic spot, like, oh, does Zayn have it? And Zayn wasn't going to be denied. Zayn wins the Raw Rumble. So he's celebrating. He's going to WrestleMania, but his celebration's premature because Roman Reigns is on the attack, and he just beats the shit out of Sami Zayn. So the show ends with Sami down, Roman posing with the championship, and like just shit-eating grin. So we have now for Mania, main event, we have got Roman Reigns versus Sami Zayn for the Universal title. Kevin Owens, because the Raw after Fastlane, just to make the Raw side of my Mania card, Triple H has a segment. He calls out Owens and he says, hey, man, I'm so proud of you, the fight that you had last night. That was a war, reminded me of the wars that I had with Austin, Mick Foley, Shawn Michaels. And, that's why I chose you, Kevin. I'm so proud. And they hug. And it looks like things are squashed. But obviously, Triple H, low blow, pedigree. And he says, but the only difference is the wars I had, I won. You couldn't win your war. I have no need for a useless soldier. And he pretty much leaves Kevin Owens to recover. And we know that this is all leading to Triple H versus Kevin Owens. Now, the snag here is that Mick Foley does return. And from the whole sledgehammer injury, which was really getting his hip operated on. And he says, that Raw GM job, a lot was riding on that. I'm not going to let you take it away from me so easily. I was ready to go to the board of directors with a lawsuit for the assault that you perpetrated on me. It was so big, there wouldn't have even been a WrestleMania. So he had the board of directors by the balls. And he's like, not only am I GM again, but I got to make 2 matches, each involving the 2 of you, being Triple H and Stephanie. With Triple H, he's put Triple H in a no-holds-barred match with Kevin Owens, who, as you can imagine with this betrayal, is fucking livid. He wants to destroy Triple H. He actually destroys Jericho the Raw after Fastlane. There isn't even a match. There was going to be, but Kevin Owens, just laid him out. He is just so done. That was, after the betrayal when he wakes up. He had a match later, and he's already feeling it. Like, we're not wasting any time. So no-holds-barred. Owens, Triple H. For Stephanie, and now this is where, again, I'm going to have to kind of do some hopping back. Mick Foley's putting her in a match because he's like, you've been berating superstars. You've been berating me. You're disrespectful. You feel untouchable. Well, that's going to change. I'm giving you a match with the person that you've really been picking on the most. I'm giving her, one of my favorite people, a chance at revenge herself. Bayley, because after Bayley failed at the Rumble, Steph has just been making her life immensely difficult, putting her in matches with Nia Jax, mocking her every which way, like, oh, Bayley, I guess it does help when you come from like a wrestling family and you're just a nobody, because saying, Charlotte being a Flair, her being a McMahon, we're just better than people like you, Bayley, and talking points like that. So Bayley and Owens each get their hands on Triple H and Stephanie. The rest of the Raw card, we do have Braun Strowman versus Finn Balor. These guys, it just has to come to a head. It has to end. Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods, and Big E, they're facing off in a triple threat, because now that Xavier Woods has gone his own way, Kofi and Big E try and make it work, but then they realize, no, it's there's like a miscue, Kofi accidentally hitting Big E, and they feel like they can't trust each other. So it's like, it's all broken down. They can't even be a standard tag team anymore. They're just like, no, we're all going our own way, but we need to know which New Day member is the best. So we've got a New Day triple threat. Sorry. U.S. Championship, Chris Jericho, the week after Owens' assault, he's all smiles. Because he said, oh, the only reason Owens turned an actual wrestling match into a fight is because he knows he can't hold a candle to me. I am the most complete wrestler in the world, which is why I've held every title in the WWE. Best United States champion ever. Nobody can touch me. Nakamura interrupts. And Nakamura says, you may be this and that, but you're not king. We know how Nakamura speaks in short spurts. So Jericho goes to blindside Nakamura. Nakamura takes him out. And pretty much that story is Jericho and Nakamura kind of trading momentum for a little bit. Jericho does also compete in matches defending the title up to that point to kind of prove his worth. And he's defending it against guys, though, like Mark Henry, Darren Young, really lower card guys. Nakamura, he's just setting the house on fire. He's still NXT champion. But that changes because on the takeover before WrestleMania, the NXT title main event is Nakamura versus Andrade Cien Almas. There is a ref bump. Jericho actually comes into the crowd. He attacks Nakamura. He hits him with a code breaker. Almas covers Nakamura, so we know that Nakamura now can leave completely. Almas is now the NXT champion, and Nakamura can focus his revenge on Jericho. So that is our U.S. title match. One of the big marquee matches that I have is Cesaro versus Brock Lesnar. Now, how we got here, when Mick Foley returns, he's seeing that these guys, their rivalry's been renewed. He's like, guys, enough. I put you two together. I get it. It was a bad idea. You guys are too aggressive, and I only put you guys together because I felt like if you kept fighting, that there wasn't going to be any career for either of you, and we're right back to that same threat. So you know what? Rather than destroying careers, let's make careers. It's WrestleMania. I'm going to give you guys an amazing opportunity. On Raw, you guys are going to have this match right here. Winner gets a WrestleMania match against an opponent of their choosing, except for the Universal Championship, because that's already been decided. Cesaro beats Sheamus, and he says, you know what? Mick's right. I've been seeing this Cesaro section for years. It's time for me to step up and prove my worth and show my value in their eyes and validate their support. I'm going after the Beast, Brock Lesnar. So we have got the Superman of Cesaro, the Swiss Superman, versus the Beast in Lesnar. I have a lot of promos between Cesaro and Heyman makes it personal. Cesaro used to be a Heyman guy, and now, of course, he's not. And he mocks Cesaro, and he says, you could never be an attraction like Brock Lesnar because you have all this talent, all this ability, and what do you do with it? Oh, at first maybe you do some yodeling, and then you claim like false citizenship as a real American, and then where he goes too far and just running down Cesaro, he brings up Tyson Kidd. And he's like, and then you tied with a worthless, Hart family reject scrub and Tyson Kidd. He's a nobody. He should be thankful his career ended before he crossed paths with Brock Lesnar, because Brock Lesnar would have done far worse. And that's like Cesaro's breaking point. He gets Heyman in a giant swing and a prolonged sharpshooter. So now he's got Lesnar's attention because nobody puts their hands on my advocate. So that's Cesaro Lesnar. And also Raw Tag Team titles. We have got the Club versus No Way Jose and Rich Swann. Again, the Club has been saying, like, this whole tag team division's a joke. I would have a segment where they bump shoulders with Swann. And, Luke Gallows is like, hey, watch your step ski, all that stupid talking that he does. And Swann's like, well, excuse me. And they get into a thing. Of course, 2-on-1 odds or 2-on-1 odds. They beat the crap out of Swann. And then Swann cuts a promo like, oh, you guys are so anti-fun. Well, I put in a call to the most fun person I know. No Way Jose debuts. They prove to be a very, successful tag team. And that's just going to be that Mania match there, challenging the Club and Gallows and Anderson. Rusev, because he lost the Raw Rumble and he kind of fizzled out, and all that, he is looking to get back on track as well. He's saying, you know what? I've had enough of this crap. I am the Bulgarian brute. I'm not like you American pigs. You're losers. You're so focused on your gluttony, your fast food yourself. The typical anti-American speech. And he says, I will take on any American that feels like they can beat me at WrestleMania. Kurt Angle interrupts. His music hits. Angle says, hey, I am just about sick of you talking trash about America all the time. I won a gold medal with a broken freaking neck. And then, Rusev could say something funny about that. Like, yeah, we know the neck, whatever. And they get into it. So we have Rusev versus Angle for the pride of America at WrestleMania. And the only other Raw match that I can think to mention, yes, we have for the Cruiserweight Championship, Cedric Alexander versus Kota Ibushi. Cedric has been really doing well on 205 Live ever since he dumped Alicia Fox. He beat Noam Dar. He beat Drew Gulak. He's beaten Tony Nese. Like, he's really cleaning out the division. And, this is an important match for Cedric because Ibushi eliminated him in the Cruiserweight Classic. But that loss was actually his greatest victory because that was the match where he got hired. So it's very personal for Cedric, this rematch. Kota is acting a bit heelish, not full-blown heel, but he's very confident, having his credentials and being Cruiserweight champion. Says, I'm the best. You couldn't beat me in the Cruiserweight Classic. You can't beat me now. So we have that for the Cruiserweight Championship. And we do have, I mean, obviously, I too have an Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal because, as you said, you're going to have Raw superstars participate in that. It does have like Raw implications. But the only other Raw match I have, or one that involves Raw, I do have an interpromotional match on this card. Oh, and that's beside the Women's Championship, of course. Emma's facing Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks is going in the champion. Emma is the challenger. She actually beat Charlotte for #1 contendership because they wanted to air out the controversy of Fastlane. So Emma versus Sasha Banks. And then I have an interpromotional match, and I'm just going to say for now that the Raw side is Samoa Joe. And when we get to the SmackDown side of things, I'll explain how we come to the SmackDown opponent. But it's an interpromotional match. Winner gets the first pick in the draft. So that's my WrestleMania card on the Raw side.
Very nice. Very nice. All right. Well, John.
Yeah.
Pony up. SmackDown. Fill me in.
Okay. This is where I started to laugh because of something you mentioned earlier with the US title. Shane and Brian are fucking livid, right? They're like, how could AJ interfere? I mean, Shane's taking it more personally because this was a chance to deal a blow to his sister. AJ fucked it all up for SmackDown, for Shane personally, so he's got a bone to pick. Brian hates controversies. You know that. He's always said, like, oh, our matches have clean finishes. Kevin Owens always needs help. So, like, everybody's discussed on every possible level. So they strip AJ of the title, and this is why I was laughing so hard, and we're having an 8-person tournament.
That's exactly what I did. That is hilarious. Oh my god.
Yeah, dude, and I swear to you, I did not steal this from you because I don't even think you told this to me.
I didn't even mention this to you in conversation yesterday. Yeah, this is for both of us.
I had to stifle the laughter because I'm like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. So, they say, look, Rollins, you lost the main event, but nobody said anything about you not being able to try and get it back. So Rollins is in the tournament. Now, this is where it gets crazy because we have this 8-person tournament. Now, let me pull it up because, oh my God, why did I take so many notes? And we have got, obviously, I'm just going to say right now, we do have Rollins and AJ making it to the finals, but just to really spell out the tournament for you because this is important. Let me pull it up. I apologize. Let's see here. Okay. The tournament has, I'm just going to pull up the brackets very quickly. Randy Orton, Bray Wyatt, Rollins, Cena, Ambrose, and Miz. Let me see if I'm missing anybody. Seth Rollins, Bray Wyatt, Dean Ambrose, John Cena, Randy Orton, The Miz, AJ Styles, and Baron Corbin. Those are all.
That is a stacked tournament. Holy balls.
Yeah, and now here's where it gets crazy on the SmackDown. It's like I'm filling you in with everything on SmackDown. I just want to focus on the main event stuff first, or my head's going to explode. Randy Orton beats Bray Wyatt in the first round. Rollins beats Cena in the first round. Ambrose beats Miz in the first round. So, Ambrose, he's not focused on the Intercontinental title right now. That's going to be important. He realizes I have a shot at the WWE Championship. And Styles beats Corbin. Now, because I had a little mix-up in my initial booking, I thought Chamber came after Fastlane, not before. I changed it from this happening at the pay-per-view to just this happening on an episode of SmackDown. The semifinals, Dean Ambrose loses to Seth Rollins, and Styles beats Orton after brutally beating him backstage. Orton isn't even able to compete, so it's a forfeiture. Styles automatic win. Rollins has been earning all of his wins clean. Now, the funny thing about that is we have got a quote-unquote bronze medal match between Dean Ambrose and Randy Orton. Now, if they win, or if one of them wins, if Orton or Ambrose wins, their consolation prize is they get a title shot at Extreme Rules. So they can't main event WrestleMania, but they're not out of the title picture entirely either. So, again, Rollins and Styles, tournament finals for the WWE Championship, bronze medal matchup, Orton versus Ambrose. Winner goes to Extreme Rules. Now, here's where it gets a bit interesting. Because we have this whole hubbub of, Raw and SmackDown, a pissing contest. Hey, let's make the draft the stakes. Well, John Cena, because he lost in the first round and he lost to Styles before that, and he couldn't win the belt at Rumble because of a DQ, he is hitting that 40 age, like you mentioned on that one episode, Talking Smack. Only time I'll be mentioning Talking Smack because I didn't even give it any thought, unlike my brilliant cohort here. And he goes into their office and he says, hey, guys, look, I need this. I know I can get it done. You know, big match, John, recognize all that shit. But Shane and Brian, they're tentative. They're like, you know, we don't know, John. Like, you lost in the first round. That's really crazy that happened to you. You know, we don't understand what's going on with you right now. And you know, they're just like, okay, here's what we're gonna do. The 4 guys that lost in the first round, John Cena, Bray Wyatt, Miz, and Corbin, you're going to have a fatal 4-way elimination match. The winner gets to represent SmackDown in the interpromotional match at WrestleMania. And now, so we get Bray is the first guy eliminated by Miz. After that, I want to note that Luke Harper comes out. He beats the crap out of Bray. I'll get more into that when we're talking more about that side of the SmackDown card. Corbin gets, before that, Corbin eliminates Miz. And then it comes down to Corbin and Cena. Now, Corbin's looking to put Cena away here, but the lights go out, a gong is heard, lights come back on, Cena eliminates Corbin with an AA. And I should also mention, too, and I can't believe I forgot this, in the first round, something similar happens when Corbin loses his first round match. Lights go out, they come back on, gets eliminated. This time there is a gong added. We know that it's The Undertaker. This is The Undertaker playing mind games with Corbin because Corbin eliminated him from the Royal Rumble, and Corbin is pissed. So John Cena does win, but notice how it's like a fluky win. You know, we're protecting him. I'm trying to protect Corbin, and Cena does get his big WrestleMania match. And, you know, Stephanie and Mick, and, you know, especially Stephanie, because she's more heelish. She's like, you know, John, that's great for you, but you're pushing 40. You know, you can't compete at that level anymore. Similar to what you were saying with what you're doing with Cena. And it's not that we're not confident in our roster, but, you know, since you're the old guard, let's really go out of our way with the new guard. And then, you know, Joe shows up. He beats just the shit out of Cena. And, you know, that gets our whole Joe representing Raw, Cena representing SmackDown. That's the other half of that interpromotional match. SmackDown Women's Championship. Want to get this established. Paige is absolutely freaking nuts. I mean, ever since returning at Elimination Chamber and assaulting Becky, she just has a bone to pick with everybody. My thing with the Paige character, and you and I were kind of talking about this in personal conversation because you were surprised I was using her, given everything that's happened. We've heard this called the reality era so many times, and you could see with my Cesaro-Heyman interaction, and now this, like, I'm trying to turn that into something. I'm trying to make Paige, being Paige right now, into something marketable, and she really has this chip on her shoulder. She's angry. She's really angry. She's like, look, I was this revolution, going back to those tired talking points. You know, Becky, you want to talk about all this stuff you did as SmackDown Women's Champion. Oh, you worked hard. Oh, you trained with Finn Balor. Everybody works hard, Becky. This is in my blood. I come from just the best family in the UK. I mean, unlike Natalya and Charlotte, I'm not a complete disgrace. I mean, what has Natalya done? Charlotte isn't even in the Raw Women's Championship conversation. I'm the one making the headlines because she is just making a ruckus. She's like the female Brian Pillman. She is just interrupting things at every turn, even segments that don't involve her. She'll come out, she'll hijack a headset, and she'll talk about what her and Del Rio are doing that weekend. I mean, just totally unhinged. And she's like, this is just me sending a message. I gave WWE everything. I was 21. I was, you know, pretty much the same age as a lot of people watching in the audience, and yet I've done more with my life than they could ever hope to. I gave everything to WWE. I put NXT on the map. I put the NXT women's division on the map. I went to Raw, and, you know, I won the Divas Championship my first night. Everything. I signed up for Total Divas, and what do I get back? I get told, oh, you can't have a life. Or, oh, we're sorry you have a prescription. We're going to suspend you anyway. Like, she's just going to air it all out there. And she is just dripping venom. All the while, Becky Lynch, much like she's doing with Alexa Bliss, is pretty much saying, woman, you're nuts. You're freaking insane. Like, well, what is wrong with you? And Paige is just letting it all go in these diatribes. I give her a lot of mic time. I give her a lot of build. I want a fully realized character. She says, you know what? The best revolutionary, kind of playing on the whole revolution language, is one that, you know, isn't afraid to lose anything. They've crossed that threshold. They've made peace with it. I've already gotten 2 strikes. because she has been suspended twice now with this whole thing. Third strike and I'm out. So what do I have to lose anyway? And that's why she's causing such a ruckus. We do get Paige versus Becky Lynch at WrestleMania for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Paige is determined to humiliate Becky Lynch and to expose the women's revolution as a fraud, because Paige is the only real revolutionary around here. For the SmackDown Tag Team titles, it's at this point that I'm starting to build up the Ascension again. The Ascension, realizing it's all been about Alpha and the Usos and, will the Wyatt family be able to make peace? The Ascension is sick of it. They remember how they used to be on NXT. They want to get back to that. They're sick and tired of being the jokes. That ends here. And so, they just start destroying tag teams. Like you said about Zack Ryder when you were booking the Hype Bros earlier, in my fantasy world, Ryder never got injured, but the Ascension actually do kayfabe injure him here. They injure even the Usos, beating them at their own game. They're taking out everybody because their logic is, you want to treat us as jokes. You're not going to be able to laugh if we're the only ones left. So they are really aggressive. I mean, Connor's in his zone. Victor was the real last Heart Dungeon graduate. We're seeing him put on a technical display, showing us things we've never seen before. Like, they are just reawakened here, is the Ascension.
Okay, John, but we need to get the important details out here. Is Connor doing Yah?
Yes! Yes, he is. And he's loving every second of it. So Alpha's like, oh man, the Ascension's just reinvigorated. Because here's the thing, I love what you're doing with the Revival. I didn't even have the Revival on this card, and I love them to death, but I wanted to do with the tag team division, at least on the SmackDown side. I wanted to take a team that my heart just goes out for, because I know how great they can be, and just build them back up. And that was the Ascension in a nutshell, because I remember how good they used to be in NXT. I wanted to get back to that. So Alpha is staring down the barrel of a real challenge. We have got Alpha versus Ascension. Let's see. I think there's two more matches on the SmackDown side. Let me just make sure, because I know I've lied a lot. Yeah, it is two more matches. Bray Wyatt versus Luke Harper. I mean, Orton eliminates Bray from the Rumble, and then you're talking at Chamber. Orton beat him there. And we really haven't heard much from Luke Harper. He's kind of keeping his distance. But Bray, just kind of feeling forlorn, like, oh, I can't believe Orton betrayed me. Tries to go back to Luke and saying, hey, man, we don't need him. We're the Wyatt family. It's all good. And Luke's like, get your damn hands off me. You should have listened to me. I was the one that, get your damn hand off my shoulder. Dude, I've been watching old clips that make me laugh. I need to find that one, because that was hilarious. But Luke pretty much calls Bray, because I know you and I hate it, but if we're going to be grounded in some kind of realism, you and I already know that Bray has called himself multiple times and in multiple ways a god. And Luke says, well, a god is supposed to see all and know all. And more or less, you didn't see shit. Like, I knew that Orton was going to do this way before you did. You're not a god, Bray. He calls him a false prophet. And I can't believe I ever wasted my life following you. And really, I don't really know how we're going to pull this off. I'm hoping it's easier than I imagine it being. But as you can imagine with this language, Bray is the babyface here. I do want a babyface Bray Wyatt. And so, Luke Harper super kicks him. He starts beating him down. I already talked about how the tournament, loses that. And, Luke Harper keeps beating him down. I'd have Eric Rowan return briefly. He's not going to fix into any of the WrestleMania plans. It's just Luke Harper versus Bray one-on-one. But Eric Rowan also feeling betrayed. But Bray quickly dispatches of him, because we have always known that he's the jobber of the Wyatt family. So we have got Luke Harper, Bray Wyatt, WrestleMania. Luke's getting ready to stitch himself together with pieces of Bray. And yeah, you can even do those kinds of promos where Luke's like, when I put myself together again with your flesh in your image, I'm going to absorb the powers that you just were too weak to use, or that you couldn't use, or lack the foresight to use, or whatever you want to say about it. So, I mean, they're doing that next level Wyatt family shit. Obviously, we have Corbin Taker. I already touched on that, which leaves the only match left being Ty Dillinger versus The Miz for the Intercontinental Championship. Already mentioned how Ty eliminated Miz from the Rumble at the number 10 spot. gets a win over Miz on, the SmackDown after as they're building up to Chamber, but loses to Miz in the Chamber because of a steel pipe. Ty Dillinger actually wins a triple threat match against Cruz, and Ziggler to get his title shots. That's really the only big SmackDown thing we do there. We have got...
Wait, this is against the Miz. When did Miz get the Intercontinental title back?
In the Chamber, because he beat
that's right. Yeah, I forgot that the Chamber was for the title. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I'm sure everybody else did. This whole thing's been fucking crazy. It's all right. But yeah, Miz wins the Chamber. He gets back the Intercontinental title, and he's just been keeping it. And like I said, Dean isn't even really concerned with the rematch clause right now because he's been doing so well in the tournament. Even being in this bronze matchup, he's like, okay, I get the chance to get back to the WWE title. So that just clears the way for Ty Dillinger. And we've got Ty versus Miz, the Perfect 10 versus the A-Lister for the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania. And that should round out my SmackDown card. Jesus fucking Christ. I am so grateful to be giving the floor to you. Brother, what are things looking like for you on the SmackDown side of things?
My turn!
Yeah, I'll sing it with you. Your turn! So, what do you got?
Okay. I just want to really quickly recap what I have for Raw so far so that I can come back to SmackDown to finish the card out. Okay. So on the Raw side, my WrestleMania 33 card is Owens versus Reigns versus Rollins for the Universal Championship with Triple H as the special guest referee. A 6-team tag team turmoil gauntlet match for the Raw tag team titles. Revival, New Day, Gallows and Anderson, Enzo and Cass, Sheamus and Cesaro, and the Shining Stars. Chris Jericho versus Sami Zayn for the United States Championship. Neville versus Johnny Gargano for the Cruiserweight Championship. Sasha Banks versus Bayley for the Raw Women's Championship. And this, going into this, Bayley is your champion, but Sasha is the heel challenger. Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg's special replacement to a guy that he thinks can beat Brock. Rusev versus Finn Balor, and Finn Balor is going to have the Undertaker in his corner in an attempt to start up a new streak since the Undertaker's streak is dead.
Right.
And of course, the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. So, before we go right into SmackDown, I do want to mention, as far as the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal goes, I like that NXT has a tournament every year for the winner to enter into the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. So I have Ty Dillinger winning that tournament this year. So Dillinger gets into the armbar.
Okay, then I should say on my end, because of that tournament, I have Elias Sampson winning that tournament. He's the NXT representative for me in the armbar.
Okay, so I've got Dillinger from NXT. You've got Sampson. Now let me talk about my SmackDown half of my WrestleMania card. So the obvious match is your WWE champion, AJ Styles, versus the Royal Rumble winner, Samoa Joe. That's an easy one. Those guys have already had a 4 3/4 star match in like 2005. So given all of the experience and greatness that they've accumulated since then, imagine what they can do now in a singles match. AJ is actually the face going into this because it just kind of feels like a natural move for him to be babyface at this point. He kind of won in like a cheeky way at the Chamber, but the Chamber was also in February, and the WrestleMania, I think, takes place in April. So you've got like a month and a half to kind of really build him as that strong face character on SmackDown. And the people want to cheer him anyway, so it really wouldn't be that difficult. And really, all you got to do is just have Joe beat him up a few times, and all of a sudden now AJ Styles is an over babyface. So that's that. I would have kind of like what they did with the wild card finals. I would have sort of a SmackDown, like an episode of SmackDown Live, be built as sort of a pay-per-view because there is such a long time between their Elimination Chamber and the WrestleMania card. And on that show, I would have the Usos retain the tag team championships in a rematch against American Alpha. Becky Lynch beat Emma in a very fluky way to get the SmackDown Women's Championship back. And then I would also have AJ retain against Cena in just a singles match. So those are the three big matches that I would have happen on SmackDown building up to WrestleMania, just to kind of set the card in place. So we already know about Joe Styles. We already know that the Usos are the tag team champions, and their opponents, believe it or not, we're going to do either a tournament or some other kind of thing to determine a number one contender. Breezango wins, though, and Breezango versus the Usos for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships is happening at WrestleMania this year.
Nice. I love it. So good.
So, in the build-up to the Elimination Chamber, I mentioned that Ambrose, Cena, and Corbin were all kind of at each other's throats, and that continues. But after Corbin eliminates Cena, Corbin and Ambrose team up to eliminate Cena from the Chamber. That pisses Cena off, but he doesn't really go full-blown like angry Cena going after those guys until after he loses to Styles in their championship rematch on an episode of SmackDown, on like the pay-per-view SmackDown show.
Right.
So after, and we could even have, I would say Corbin would be best. Corbin might even be the one that costs Cena that match. Maybe he comes out and just distracts Cena. So then like Cena turns around into a phenomenal forearm and AJ gets the win that way. That would make sense.
Yeah.
So then what ends up happening, though, is Corbin is pissed at Ambrose for attacking him after they eliminated Cena in the Chamber. Cena is pissed at Corbin for costing him the championship. And Cena is pissed at Ambrose because Ambrose is constantly talking shit about him, and he wants to round out his championship repertoire. He's never won the Intercontinental Championship before, and now that Chris Jericho has won the United States Championship, Cena sees like, oh my God, that's right, I can be a Grand Slam champion, and his new target is Ambrose. So we've got Dean Ambrose versus John Cena versus Baron Corbin in a triple threat at WrestleMania for the Intercontinental Championship.
I love that. So fucking good.
Okay, so then on the women's side, because Becky beat Emma, again, sort of a fluky, maybe like a roll up, maybe Emma went for a curb stomp and Becky like got out of the way and got her in like a weird pinning combination of some kind. But Becky finds a way to beat Emma in a very fluky manner. And it's one of those wins where even though she wins, even though Becky wins, Emma pops right up and starts beating the shit out of Becky after the match. So we've got the rematch, Emma versus Becky Lynch for the Women's Championship at WrestleMania, with Becky going in as champion.
Nice. Love it.
Okay. Because Harper and Orton couldn't settle their business at the Chamber, they're getting another match at WrestleMania, but get this, it's Falls Count Anywhere.
Nice.
You guys want to go to the parking lot? Go ahead. You can even pin each other there because Falls Count Anywhere.
Right.
And sort of the big like kind of surprise SmackDown match that I wanted to do, Bray Wyatt came up through the ring and cost The Miz the Universal or the World Championship at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. So the next night, or maybe not the next week, but really quickly after that, The Miz would have an episode of Miz TV with Bray Wyatt on it, and Bray Wyatt would cut a very babyface promo on The Miz saying, "Man, Miz, you're everything about this world that I can't stand. All the glamour, all the superficialness, all of, the Hollywood, the ego, the scarves, the sunglasses, everything that you represent is everything that's wrong with this world as far as I'm concerned." And that's the way that you build to that match. So Bray Wyatt versus The Miz. Of course, we get a Maurice slap of Bray Wyatt. Maybe even we have Bray Wyatt versus The Miz, but Maurice costs Bray the match in a way. Maybe like, you know how you mentioned Chris Jericho was going to toss brass knucks to Owens and Roman would get a hold of him?
Yes.
Maybe Maurice feeds The Miz brass knucks, and that allows Miz to nail Bray Wyatt, toss the knucks, hit the skull-crushing finale before Bray even falls over from the brass knuck shot, and he gets the win there. All that does, though, is piss Bray off more. Because, like, Bray, he doesn't just want to beat the Miz, he wants to end the Miz's career. Like wants Miz to no longer be on the same roster as him, ideally the same planet, but he'll settle for same roster. So at WrestleMania, we are going to have Bray Wyatt versus the Miz in a loser leaves SmackDown match.
Oh, nice.
So that's like the last big SmackDown match that I came up with. So John, do you want to get into who we're going to be having winning these things?
Yeah, I go first.
Go for it.
All right. Man, brother, I can't believe you and I pulling it off again. I actually wrote like here, so this is going to be the really easy part. Seth Rollins becomes the new WWE champion, just right out of the gate. I'm going to work backwards. Sami Zayn becomes the new Universal champion. Kevin Owens wins the no holds barred match, and I just want to point out about that what I love about that. In my head, because I did leave out some points of build up, but I'm not going to go back now. I mean, we're right at the finish line. But, I mean, Triple H has really been digging his heels in Owens, and Owens is really snapped. He even says in a promo, like, you're not going to get fight Owens fight. You're going to get kill Owens kill. So Owens is feeling merciless, and the finish is he does a power bomb on the apron to Triple H, but then he, like, throws him back in the ring, and obviously after that, his body's just limp. And Owens says, no, I'm not done, and he hits a package pile driver for the deciding pinfall. So that's Owens' kind of WrestleMania moment there. Yeah, because again, he said, kill Owens, kill. I mean, Triple H took one too many liberties with Kevin Owens and really made it personal. Again, there were some things I forgot that I wish I would have mentioned here. Like on the Go Home show, for instance, Reigns and Zayn, they did a pick your poison type situation. Zayn picked Cesaro for Roman, and Roman picked Kevin Owens for Zayn, and then Roman and Triple H just beat up Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens on the Go Home Raw. So a lot of transgressions for Kevin Owens. Nakamura wins the U.S. Championship. Ty Dillinger, he becomes Intercontinental Champion, but I actually have in my mind for Extreme Rules that they actually do a last man standing match because it's incapacitating your opponent for a 10 count. And Miz just wants to break Ty Dillinger using his own like big thing against him, because Miz is just a dick like that.
I can dig that.
Cesaro beats Brock Lesnar, and I just envision like Heyman reacting to every power move of Cesaro, and then like after like the apron plexus being like, "Oh Brock, we're losing! Oh my God, Brock, what's happening? Brock, why?" But Cesaro does beat Lesnar because I'm really looking to get Cesaro in the main event, and yeah, that's just my big thing there. I have Big E winning the triple threat, pinning Xavier Woods, emerging as the dominant guy of the New Day. I have Joe beating Cena. I'm just going to say right now, my long con with Cena, I'm going to do with him what I wish WWE would have done when he lost to The Rock the first time. I would have had him go on a massive downward spiral, a massive losing streak. I hated that he won at Extreme Rules right after, but I'm going to have Cena lose and lose and lose, but then just turn the corner enough to finally get his 16th world title at WrestleMania 34. So him losing to Joe is just a part of a big year-long thing, because he goes from worst to first in a year, finally getting that 16th world title. So Joe beats Cena. Bit more of a controversial choice here. I have Braun Strowman defeating Finn Balor. To me, Finn Balor is a really over babyface. Him losing his first WrestleMania, while controversial, I like strong heels, and I know you do too. I think Strowman winning here against a guy the quality of Balor, that cements his main event status for a good couple of months. Like, I don't think anybody will question it. And he can go right after Zayn for the Universal Championship. So picking up that feud, but now it has Universal title implications. Bayley beats Stephanie, finally getting her comeuppance in a major way on the big stage. And it actually goes to somebody that's going to be there tomorrow morning. Sorry. Luke Harper beats Bray Wyatt. Randy Orton beats Dean Ambrose, so Randy Orton goes to Extreme Rules. He's going to be facing, I'll tell you right now, my Extreme Rules would be Seth Rollins versus AJ Styles cashing in his rematch clause versus Randy Orton in a triple threat. Becky Lynch retains against Paige. Paige beats her up after the match. And really this is going to lead to a first blood match between these two at Extreme Rules, because Paige just wants to make Becky and just one of the faces of the Revolution, quote-unquote, bleed. So, first blood, Paige, Becky at Extreme Rules. Emma beat Sasha
Damn.
Banks. Yeah. I mean, again, Paige is fucking nuts, dude. She's lost it. Emma beat Sasha Banks. In fact, by the way, funny thing about Paige, I know the name is corny as hell, but when I tell you guys, I thought about even the stupidest stuff for this card with like a lot of the matches. I got really into this. She's actually, it used to be the PTO, but now I've had her rename her submission the PTSD, the Paige Tortures Sellouts Deathlock. And yeah, she's given it to everybody.
So cool.
Yeah, so it's called PTSD now. Paige is totally off the deep end, and she's not done with Becky. They're doing a First Blood at Extreme Rules, and Paige is going to win the title there. Becky's going to bleed because we can't be afraid to show color now, can we?
I freaking adore the name of that move. That is the best.
Yeah, dude, if there's one thing that I'm proud of and I won't apologize for on my card, because I agree, like, there's probably a lot of stuff that's a mess. I loved what I thought of for Paige, because I took somebody that everybody's already thinking has one foot out the door, and she's really become the epicenter of my SmackDown women's division. So, I mean, easily top heel over there. We have Emma beating Sasha Banks because we both love Emma. Sasha Banks will have plenty of time with that title. Emma deserves her run because whether she's Emmalina or you're badass Emma, Emma owns all. Fact. Corbin beats Taker. I just want to outline here. Do you remember, Ashton? I know I'm making kind of a vague reference. When Corbin won the feud with Bull Dempsey, how he set up a chair in the middle of the ring and he literally kicked Dempsey out of the ring and like saying, this is my ring, and he poses in the chair. I'd have him do something similar with The Undertaker. Like, he wins, He grabs a chair, people think he's going to use it on Taker, which I'm not even going to have him do it, because why have a weapon when you're Baron fucking Corbin? He sets up the chair in the middle of the ring. He sits in it like a king, and he kicks Taker out of his ring like he's trash. And he's posing, and people are like, that's The Undertaker. You don't do that. You know, what the fuck is wrong with you? And you know, Baron Corbin's on top of the world. He don't give no fuck. So Baron Corbin, anytime you want him in that WWE Championship picture, he's good, because, yeah, he beat Taker, but Brock Lesnar's been the only other guy to do that. And unlike Brock, who just took the win, Corbin went the extra mile. He kicked Taker out of his ring. So Corbin establishing dominance. Rusev makes Angle pass out. I have been saying forever that Rusev deserves to be in the main event. If I don't put my own money where my mouth is, then I am worthless. So to protect Angle, because I would have him sticking around for a little bit, you know, he does pass out here. And then I think I would have Angle maybe win a submission match at Extreme Rules, but then the pay-per-view afterwards, Rusev gets the decisive victory. He will win the feud, I promise. But yeah, for now, Angle passes out. Ascension beats American Alpha for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. I want to go all the way with these fucking guys. They're going to be the SmackDown Tag Team champions. I can see them going on a monster run, and they would have a Tornado Tag Team match with Alpha at Extreme Rules. Ascension wins again because it's chaos and they thrive in chaos. The Club beat No Way Jose and Rich Swann. I love these guys to death. I do think they actually have a good future as a team if they would want to make it a long-term project, but I don't really see the Club going that route. And Club winning and Balor losing, they're going to start kind of whispering in Balor's ear, you know, come ride with us again. You're not the Finn Balor we know, kind of like they were doing with AJ before he turned heel on Cena. Be a similar thing here. And yeah, Club's reign continues. And finally, I have Elias Sampson winning the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, last eliminating Big Cass. Cass is on fire. He's beating people left and right. Sampson, though, grabs his guitar from the corner. He cracks Cass over the head with it, kind of pulling a bit of a Jeff Jarrett there. Cass totally out of it. Sampson picks him up, throws him out, and with the Andre trophy, like in the ring, Sampson treats us to a post-match concert, and he says, what WrestleMania needed, or what WrestleMania needs, is what I am, and he, you know, walks away with the trophy. So Sampson gets a huge WrestleMania moment, a lot like Corbin, right out of the gate. That's my WrestleMania card. Please, brother, take us through yours.
Wow, man, that's crazy. I'm glad that you got to go first, though, because while you were going, I got to arrange mine in the order that I would have the matches take place in.
Right.
So pre-show, I have 4 matches. By the way, how many matches did you have on your card total?
20, I think, and I'm not even kidding. I think I did a count earlier today. Oh, by the way, yeah, I forgot one other pre-show match. I am so sorry, Ashton, but Cedric actually beats Kota Ibushi. So Cedric is the new cruiserweight champion. I actually almost forgot that. But yeah, 20, I think, in total, because I did a count earlier today. And yeah, that's what it came out to. So everybody got work in this match. So there you go.
Okay, wow. All right, well. All right, here we go. So my pre-show has 4 matches. The main show has 10. And I really tried to cut it down to 5 and 9, but I couldn't take any other matches off the main show. Had to be 10. So the pre-show is going to be 3 hours. The main show is going to be 4 hours, and we're just going to deal with it that way. The first match on the pre-show, though, is Luke Harper versus Randy Orton Falls Count Anywhere. And the reason that I have it being the first match on the card is because I want to set the record for the longest match in WWE history.
Nice.
So what we're going to do with this is we're going to have Harper and Orton go at it for maybe like 8 to 10, maybe 11 or 12 minutes at most in the ring, around the ring, in the stands. But next thing you know, they're going to go out to the freaking parking lot, and they are going to literally go out into not just the parking lot in the arena, but the outside parking lot out within like near the fans. And they're going to be beating the hell out of each other this whole time. After about 2 or 3 minutes of them doing this, the camera is going to just cut back into the arena. Cole is going to say something to the effect of, guys, we'll try and keep you as updated as possible on this match going on right now. But for now, for time's sake, we need to move on. We need to have our next match. So next match starts. It's Neville versus Johnny Gargano for the Cruiserweight Championship. Neville just completely annihilates Gargano, but Gargano just keeps fighting back. The first person to ever kick out of the Red Arrow is Johnny Gargano in this match. And Neville is astounded. He can't believe it. But in a situation where you would expect me to be like, and then Gargano wins, I'm not going to do that. Neville is going to win this match via stretch muffler.
Oh, nice.
Someone kicks out of the Red Arrow, so Neville thinks to himself, you know what? If that's not going to do the job, I'm going to torture this man until he gives up. And even then, Gargano does not tap. He passes out, and he loses by ref decision.
Damn. Love it, though.
So Neville is just cranking on this stretch muffler, just cranking on it. And Gargano is like, he's fighting, and you can just see the light fade from his eyes, and he just passes out. The referee calls for the bell. He's forcing Neville to get off of him. Neville, come on, Neville, you got to get off of him. You can't keep doing this. And then Ciampa comes out to defend his buddy.
Damn.
So this sets up Ciampa versus Neville, and going forward, I would have Ciampa beat Neville, but then I would have Ciampa as a heel feuding with Gargano for the title. And maybe we put the title on Gargano then, but I really do want to wait for Gargano to win the title until the people are really desperate for it.
Right. I get what you're saying. That's brilliant.
So, the Usos versus Breezango for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. Really, I wanted to get Breezango on this card because I think that they're extremely underused, but at the same time, I don't feel like I could give up a nice long heel Usos title reign for the sake of Breezango, so I'm going to have the Usos win this one.
Okay, makes sense. Makes sense, yeah.
Again, throughout these matches, before every match and after every match, and in between these matches, we're getting updates on Harper versus Orton. Maybe at one point you see them, like during the Usos versus Breezango match, maybe you see them come back into the arena, but they're not like down at the ring area. They're up in like one of the concession stands fighting with each other.
Right.
And you just see them just fighting, and like, Orton hits his like over the backbreaker and goes for the pin, and 1, 2 kick out from Harper, and you just see like maybe Harper hits like a super kick on Orton in one of them, and he goes for a pin and gets a 2 count. So these guys are just still going. This is like 2 hours later, and we're still getting updates that these guys are still fighting each other. There's no sign of when this match is going to end, but what we do know is that it's been 2 hours, and therefore this is the longest match in WWE history already.
Yes. God, that's so
We're not
good.
just going to set this record. We are going to set the bar impossibly high.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
So then we get the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. This is the kind of the main event of the pre-show. And the two big things that I wanted to have happen in this match, I want Ty Dillinger to eliminate Dolph Ziggler. And then because he is a heel and in sort of his outrage, Ziggler, despite having been eliminated, he reaches up, grabs Dillinger, and pulls him over the top rope, eliminating him. That's a feud that I want to do on SmackDown going forward.
Awesome, dude.
And the winner of the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal 2017, last eliminating the Big Show, Braun Strowman.
Awesome. Awesome.
I think it's very fitting that, like, people are kind of saying, like, this dude might be the new Big Show. He's, he's this giant, but he can also move, and he's kind of a decent promo, and he kind of has that, he can do everything that you want, and he's a giant at the same time. So this is kind of my passing of the torch moment, where Big Show is already a former Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal winner, and we have him lasting to the final two, only to be eliminated by the next in line to kind of inherit that giant role in WWE, that being Strowman.
Exactly. I love it, dude. Makes perfect sense to me.
So in 2 months, Strowman has already beaten Big Show one-on-one, pinned him clean, and eliminated him from the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. So that's kind of like the transfer of energy is complete now.
Yeah, I love that, dude.
So what do you want to guess what my curtain jerker is for my main card?
Ooh. No, brother, I'm at a loss. What's your curtain jerker?
Dean Ambrose versus John Cena versus Baron Corbin for the Intercontinental Championship. And the reason that I want this to be my curtain jerker is because I like my curtain jerker to be sort of the workhorse match. And I really wanted to kind of re-emphasize that A, the Intercontinental Championship is the workhorse title, and B, John Cena is a workhorse now. And that being said, I actually have Cena beating Dean Ambrose, pinning Dean Ambrose, and winning the Intercontinental Championship in this match.
Nice.
So John Cena isn't winning his 16th world title at WrestleMania, but he is becoming a Grand Slam champion at WrestleMania.
Beautiful. Excellent.
Big deal for Cena. Ambrose is going to get his rematch at Extreme Rules, and then Cena will move on to Corbin. And once he gets past Corbin, he'll start doing open challenges on SmackDowns.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, Intercontinental Championship Open Challenges. Oh, dude, so good.
Second match, Sasha Banks versus Bayley for the Raw Women's Championship. Even though this has had a very emotional past, I didn't want to make too big of a deal out of it because this is the first time that they're meeting on the main roster. So we have Sasha versus Bayley, and I will let Sasha take the championship here. Kind of a big like heel moment. Sasha Banks winning the title from Bayley. After the match, of course, you would kind of have that Brooklyn moment where Bayley is in the ring on her knees, and you can kind of see like the mascara running down on her face, and she's emotional. So she kind of has to walk out on her own power because everyone she thought was her friend has either abandoned her or betrayed her. So pretty much really is Bayley by herself trying to stand on her own 2 feet, and that is kind of like the tragedy of her character. At the following show, I would have some kind of stipulation, maybe Extreme Rules, maybe no disqualification, maybe a street fight, maybe 2 out of 3 falls, something like that. And I would probably have Sasha retain because I'm going to have Sasha go on a pretty long run, only to be usurped by Asuka at WrestleMania 34.
Oh, what? Sweet. That's so good.
So up next, and I can't believe I had to do this early, but I really did want to do it in a spot where people would have time to digest it and then be able to move on to cheering for other stuff. Bray Wyatt versus The Miz. Loser leaves SmackDown. And it's happening again, guys. Maurice is trying to help The Miz again. She keeps on interfering. She grabs Bray Wyatt's foot once. She gets up on the apron when it looks like Bray Wyatt is about to beat Miz to distract the ref and prevents the ref from counting. She just keeps on being this nuisance. And Bray Wyatt goes outside of the ring And just as it looks like Maurice is winding her hand back to slap Bray Wyatt, the lights go out. And when the lights come back on, it's not Bray Wyatt that Maurice is about to slap. It's Sister Abigail.
Oh, shit.
Portrayed by Santana Garrett, she grabs the attempted slap and punches Maurice in the face and then locks her into some kind of ridiculous submission. I don't even know what kind of submission it would be, but then Bray Wyatt beats The Miz in the middle of the ring with the Sister Abigail, which is the name of his finisher. And then after the match is over, The Miz and Maurice are kind of, you know, in a crump. They're all like beaten down and out. And freaking Bray Wyatt and Santana Garrett as Sister Abigail are posing triumphantly in the middle of the ring. We finally have a Sister Abigail.
That's incredible.
And guess who would be Emma's next opponent on SmackDown?
Oh, what? That's a money feud right there, baby.
Okay, so then we have Chris Jericho versus Sami Zayn. And I'm just going to have Zayn retain here. I really didn't want to add too much to this, but I wanted both of these guys to be on the card. Zayn is going to keep the title, and Jericho might even go on like a Fozzy tour after this. I don't know. But if he's going to put anyone over, might as well be Zayn, right?
Right, exactly.
That's also kind of a cool down match on this card because it's like we just got the debut of Sister Abigail. People are freaking out. They're not going to really be able to pay too much attention to whatever match follows. So let's just do Jericho versus Zayn, and I'm sure they'll put on a good match, but the crowd isn't going to be super duper into it. But you know, it's Sami Zayn. People love Sami Zayn. They'll still pop when he beats Jericho, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So then we have our 6-team tag team turmoil gauntlet match. We are going to start things off with Enzo and Cass beating the Shining Stars. And then Sheamus and Cesaro come out. Enzo and Cass beat them. New Day comes out. Enzo and Cass beat them. Then Gallows and Anderson. And Enzo and Cass beat them as well. But then the Revival come out and they start picking on that injured leg of Big Cass. They can't use a chair because they get disqualified, but they go after the knee. And eventually Scott Dawson locks in that modified figure 4 on Big Cass while Dash Wilder is kind of playing defense and preventing Enzo from breaking it up. And Cass has to tap out. He gives up.
Nice.
And are still your Raw Tag Team Champions, the Revival. The only guys on Raw that take this stuff seriously.
Yeah, I love it, dude. Perfect.
So then we've got Brock Lesnar. His music hits and he comes out. Paul Heyman by his side, and then Goldberg comes out and he says, "Well, Brock, you've waited long enough. I hope you're ready to get beat down because your opponent tonight isn't just anyone. He is the king, and to be exact, he is the king of what they call strong style." Nakamura's music hits. The crowd literally explodes. The building no longer has a roof. We're getting Nakamura versus Lesnar. This is Nakamura's debut on the main roster. Yeah, because really, I mean, how can you treat someone better than debuting them on the main roster at WrestleMania?
Exactly.
And not only that, not only is he debuting on the main roster at WrestleMania, but he's winning his first match at WrestleMania over Brock Lesnar. Nakamura wins via like 4 or 5 Kinshasa knees.
Yeah, perfect. Love it.
So then, and I would even have like on Raw after that, they could really like go through and talk about how, you know, in the past, Nakamura faced Brock Lesnar before he really found himself and before Shinsuke Nakamura was the king of strong style. So last night, Nakamura came back after almost a decade to face Brock Lesnar again, and this just shows how far Nakamura has come since the last time they've met. And I would also pretty much instantly insert Nakamura into a program after this with Finn Balor to determine #1 contendership for the WWE title.
Sweet, dude.
So then we've got Emma versus Becky Lynch for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Becky Lynch tries to beat Emma the same way that she beat her on that episode of SmackDown, where Emma's going for the curb stomp and Becky grabs her by the leg and goes for a weird roll-up attempt. But Emma kicks out. She has it scouted. Emma ends up winning this because that was really the only trick Becky had in her bag. And once Emma countered it, Becky didn't have anything left. So Emma picks up the win here, retains the championship, and she is the most dominant champion on pretty much either roster at this point. She's killing everyone.
Right, makes sense. Yeah, she's on a roll right now.
So then, believe it or not, this isn't my main event. This is not even my semi-main event. Samoa Joe versus AJ Styles for the WWE Championship. And the reason that I didn't have this be my big main event match is because I kind of wanted to go out on an angle, and this is going to be like my goal for this match is to be very straight up, one-on-one, no shenanigans, no cheating, just straight up, guys, go out there and put on a 5-star match. And I imagine they probably would be able to do that. I would probably give this match 25, maybe 30 minutes, and I would have Joe go over.
Yeah, I love that, dude. That's freaking great.
So then we've got Rusev versus Finn Balor as our semi-main event. And I have this as my semi-main event for a reason. Because, we have Rusev come out, but then The Undertaker's gong hits, and he makes his entrance, and he is the one that introduces Finn Balor. And Balor comes out in the full demon garb, one of the best entrances probably in WrestleMania history here. Balor as the demon, with the full down the ramp crawling. Maybe we get a bunch of extras to play copies like what they did at the one takeover, but this is just a super elaborate entrance. He really is kind of taking the baton from the Undertaker as this new supernatural mythical character who steps up at WrestleMania. And the match itself, I would probably only give it 15 minutes because I want Balor to look dominant in his victory. And then after the match, as the demon, although most of the paint has worn off by now, we have Balor stand in the middle of the ring with The Undertaker. Taker raises Balor's hand, but then with the other hand that Balor has, he holds up the number 1. Because the demon is now 1-0 at WrestleMania, and this is the beginning of the new streak.
I love it. That just works on every level. That's great.
So the new streak, Demon Balor is not going to lose at WrestleMania for over a decade. He'll never get to 23 or 24 WrestleMania matches like Taker probably will. But if we can get him to 12 or 13, I think really once you get past the 8 point, that's when you can start thinking about having him lose and having this big deal about who can break the streak.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
So, up next, our main event of the evening, Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins for the Universal Championship with Triple H as your special guest referee. And I would give this match at least 35 to 40 minutes, kind of Wrestle Kingdom-esque. But the finish, I already have plotted out in my mind. And it would happen, Rollins shoots off the ropes, one of those jumping knee strikes that he does. Owens would pop him up into a power bomb. Triple H down for the count 1, 2, and then as his hand is at the top of the 3 count, he stares straight into Owens' face, smiles, and says, "Did you really think you would be my chosen one?" And then he backs up into the corner, which clears room for Roman Reigns to spear Kevin Owens. And then Triple H runs over, 1, 2, 3, fast count. Roman Reigns is not only the champion, he is a corporate champion. He is Triple H's true chosen one. Kevin Owens was only a facade to try and get Seth Rollins' guard down because Triple H also has noticed that Seth Rollins kind of owns Roman Reigns a little bit. Anytime they fight, Seth beats Roman. And in order for Triple H to get Roman to have the championship, he had to introduce a third party because he knew that Roman couldn't beat Seth in a pay-per-view.
Right.
So the third party was Kevin Owens. He was the intermediary. And then the following night on Raw, Triple H could even cut a promo talking about, Kevin, I know you had your fun as champion, but you were absolutely foolish if you honestly believe that I would choose you to be the new golden boy. I mean, seriously, have you looked in a mirror lately? You are the furthest thing from what the WWE's golden boy, from what the face of the WWE should be. And then, of course, Roman comes out rocking the three-piece suit. He talks about how I am so sick of all of these fans thinking that they matter. I'm so sick of the fans trying to hijack shows, trying to act like I'm not the best thing in this company, like I'm not best for business. And the WrestleMania close is Triple H, Sasha Banks, Samoa Joe, and the Revival, all standing in the ring, all but Triple H holding championships, all raising each other's hands, because the reign of the terror of Triple H 2.0 has just begun.
And that, folks, is why you should all order Ashton's WrestleMania when the actual WrestleMania comes around the corner. Dude, that's fucking fantastic. That's amazing.
So the whole point of that, though, I had a lot of heels winning. And I think really the only baby faces that won were Balor, Nakamura, Zayn. Actually, I did have a few baby faces winning. Balor, Nakamura, Zayn, Wyatt, Cena, and that would be it. And as far as the Harper Orton match, you could probably end that like in between the Jericho Zayn and Raw Tag Title Turmoil match. And I would just have Harper go over there because I know Orton's willing to put young guys over, and Harper's freaking amazing.
Dude, absolutely. That's fantastic.
So on my 14-match card, I had 5 people that were babyfaces winning. The only babyface champion in WWE after this is John Cena.
Nice. That's actually too perfect. Oh my God, that's great.
Yeah.
What a WrestleMania. All right, well,
Whew.
anything else you have to add?
I don't think so. I think I actually covered everything, but the whole purpose was to set up this big like Triple H giving all of his NXT kids their due with Sasha, because like they could even do like a video package where you could point out like Sasha was one of the 3 women that Triple H chose to accompany him for his entrance at WrestleMania a few years ago, right?
Right.
And then you could do like Roman Reigns was a Triple H project before people knew that Triple H was running NXT, because Roman Reigns as the thoroughbred was in NXT, and that was Triple H's whole thing, but that was before people really started giving Triple H credit for NXT.
Right.
Even Samoa Joe signed by Triple H. The Revival, Triple H gave them the tag team championships, even though all the fans wanted DIY and American Alpha to be the champions. Like, you could do so much with them just saying, like, all of this leads back to Triple H. And then Triple H would also sign The Miz over to Raw, and that would be, you could have him sort of in the mid card. He could be Sami Zayn's first opponent for the U.S. title after Jericho leaves.
Nice. That works out very well.
Purpose, though, is to build up so that at WrestleMania 34, all of these Triple H heels would get their comeuppances from baby faces that are built in the next year.
Very nice. So really, you're using this Mania kind of as a launching pad for next year's WrestleMania.
Right.
That's
exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So that's my Mania card. We've been doing this for 2.5 hours, John. I think you already got through your Mania card. Do we have anything left that we want to say?
No. I fucking love your card. I love the detail. I put together what I could with what I had, but I don't think I did so bad. So there are your 2 fantasy cards. We did.
I like how, it's funny because you say like, oh, I'm not creative, but I feel like your card was more creative than mine. Like mine, I kind of used a lot of the tropes that you see in wrestling, and even a lot of like Lucha Underground tropes, like, oh, we're going to strip this champion and have a tournament, or, oh, we're going to have 4 tag team matches and then a 4-way. Like, that's very Lucha Underground of me. And even like the Miz Wyatt stuff and then the Balor Rusev stuff, it was all me kind of taking inspiration from Lucha Underground. You, though, I feel like a lot of the stuff you did was very much unprecedented and stuff that we haven't seen before in wrestling, and I appreciate that.
I really wanted to give you something worthwhile because, we talked about this and like, John, you want to do this and and like, because if I remember correctly, the one that we did all those years ago, like I really didn't come to play all that well. Like I guess I had a decent card, but I don't ever really remember anything like too fantastic. But no, my mind was like so on this. It was all I was thinking about like on Saturday into Sunday, and you know that because I told you so. And really, if I had to pick a match, I was proud of like your whole card. I stand in amazement. And what I love about you, and see, this is the thing though, like I may have pulled some creative rabbits out, but what I love about you and what I've respected about you for so long, and why I love when we do this, your narrative structure, like already this whole Mania is kind of an advertisement at the same time for WrestleMania 34, because if anybody knows wrestling, they know that it usually has a happy ending, some longer than others, to get there. And you just have this whole thing set for next year. It just blows my fucking mind. Really, the only thing I was thinking about was, in terms of that, was John Cena losing, because I wanted to do it right this time. And yeah, I was just really focused on making people like Paige and Cesaro megastar, especially Paige, because, she's probably going to be in the crapper, but I thought, why not try something? So yeah, I feel like you and I both, we did some really worthwhile things. I don't even really remember the one that we did the first time around, but I'm willing to bet that this beats that. I fucking loved your card, dude. That was amazing.
Yeah, like I feel like you did a great job of making stars out of like Paige and Cesaro and Corbin. Whereas I was more focused on just kind of taking people who were already almost there and giving them that extra little push. Like I made Balor, I had Roman. You and I both made Roman heel, and it was so much better already.
I like, and I love to, not to cut you off, but like that's where I've got to give you major props, because I'll agree with you wholeheartedly. Like Roman, it was just, brass knucks, this and that, where I could actually see the actual Roman Reigns doing that anyway and still expecting to be interpreted as a babyface. I just did it, and then like all the arrogance comes out of that. I love how you built up to Reigns being this guy, and that swerve though, like that is how you do a fucking heel. See, and that's the funny thing. I think I was more focused on establishing Owens as a face, rather than just really laying the groundwork for Reigns to be heel. But I love that you gave him that attention, because that's what's going to get you the higher returns. I thought that was
like
great.
My whole thing wasn't let's make Kevin Owens a face and Roman Reigns a heel. My thing was just let's let the crowd react to Owens the way they want to. But by the end of this, let's have Roman Reigns be the most hated man on the planet.
Yeah. Yeah. And see, for me, my whole goal with Owens, because I've really hated that Owens has lost his teeth as Universal Champion. And my thing was, he couldn't just be a babyface. I wanted him to get that fire back. And so, with the whole Triple H thing, like Brendan Best even saying in chat, giving KO the package pile driver, I knew that was going to be the finish for the last several hours. Like, I actually came up with that this afternoon when I was working out. I'm like, okay, well, we know that KO is pissed at Triple H. Like, he's really taken things too far. KO is snapped. Like, what do we do? And then I'm thinking, well, apron powerbomb for one, and then package pile driver. And like, that sends a message. Like, I'm Kevin fucking Owens. And, I really wanted to reestablish him, because I think it's a crying shame what they're doing to him right now. And I hope it doesn't get any worse. Really, though, a lot of the other matches are pretty straightforward. Like Seth Rollins and AJ Styles. Another thing I didn't mention from my notes, because I took detailed notes, they do bring up their history. Like AJ Styles had one of the first really career-defining matches with Seth Rollins. And so he's like, well, if you want me to be honest, I built Seth Rollins, because when I wrestled you, nobody even knew who you were. And yet after I wrestled you, because AJ was with TNA at the time, like, then everybody started wondering, well, who's Seth Rollins? And, I took you out to dinner and I told you to pay it forward. Not only have you not paid it forward, you're a blight on this business. You're a disgrace. And then I would have AJ kind of go after the injured knee of Rollins, or the repaired knee, I should say, at this point, with a steel chair, and then get him in the calf crusher. And then, like, of course, Rollins battles back, and then he cuts a promo on the go-home show of, AJ, nobody's really going to give a shit about what you did in New Japan, in TNA, in ROH. Like, I'd have him name drop them all all people are going to remember you for is that you were the guy that lost your first WrestleMania main event to Seth freaking Rollins. So I really have Rollins with that babyface fire, and then they go
So
out.
you're keeping AJ heel then?
Yeah, I'm keeping AJ heel.
Like, to me, like, the crowd is already kind of starting to turn him. I just went with the flow and I said, all right, you want to cheer him, let's put him against a monster heel, and I put Joe against him.
Yeah, and that makes all the sense in the world to me. And AJ's turn, I think, would come in the next calendar year, like the next wrestling season, going into WrestleMania 34 for sure. But to me, I'm like, okay, well, what's more important? Either like turning AJ face when he really hasn't been formally turned, even though the crowd is getting behind him for sure. But that just tells me that we could probably do it at any time, because I think only AJ is going to decide when people, start booing him and telling him he sucks when he slows down. Or because I hated how they handled Seth Rollins as a face doing damage control, and I opted for damage control. I totally get why you did what you did, and any other situation I'd agree with you, but the face turn for Rollins was so bad, I had to repair it. So I had to give him a really
I think I set myself up to repair Rollins' face turn by keeping him on Raw, because what I did was I set up a better antagonist for Rollins than what he's dealt with, because so far the only antagonist that babyface Rollins has had, the only ones have been Owens and Jericho, and people like them. Like, even though they're both heels and they're both kind of douchey, people like those guys. But now we've got a healed Roman Reigns, and the most important part to remember of the main event, Seth wasn't pinned.
Yes, great point.
Roman pinned Kevin Owens, and that was intentional too, because, like I said, Seth has Roman's number at pay-per-view.
Right. Yeah.
It's like there's like a sort of like a rock paper scissors thing with the Shield. I don't know if you've noticed this, but Rollins always beats Roman always beats Dean, and Dean always beats Rollins. That's why I was thinking about peeping up a little bit when you had your 8-man tournament on SmackDown, where you had Rollins beating Ambrose, because anytime those two guys have faced.
Right, and see, I'll tell you what, dude, why I did that, what was the I know what the reason was, I just want to articulate it right. Because sorry again, that I had like a bronze medal matchup for Extreme Rules, and like the way I was trying to order the tournament, I wanted it to be Dean and Orton. Like, I was dead set because I already knew Bray was working with Luke, and obviously AJ and Seth were going to be in the finals, and John Cena was going to face Joe in the interpromotional thing. So really, I had to make a second. I didn't even really think about the rock paper scissors though, to be honest, because had I known that, maybe I would have found another way around. But I went in blind on that fact. So that's kind of how it all fell out.
Yeah.
But I love that your thought is just so layered. Like, I marvel at that, because I only think like one show at a time. And you're not just thinking one show at a time. You're thinking one show at a time plus, like, okay, how do we make the next show? What are the best long-term gains? I mean, that's just another level, son. Like, that's amazing.
So then my Extreme Rules would be Rollins versus Reigns, and I would have Triple H do everything in his power to make sure Reigns retained there. And I would even have Triple H kind of blackball Rollins, where even though Reigns would win by like count out or disqualification or something like that, Triple H would be like, no, Rollins, you lost. You don't get another shot. It's over.
Right, yeah.
So then Rollins is kind of like the new Daniel Bryan character, where like, even though from any kayfabe standpoint you can think of, he's still owed a shot, they're going to blackball him and keep him out of the main event. And that's not because they don't want him to win. It's because we're trying to build him as the top babyface on the brand.
Right. Makes perfect sense.
On that show, I would also have Finn versus Nakamura. Winner gets a shot at Roman after Roman retains. Winner gets a title shot, though. And I think I would actually do Nakamura, but I would have it be like a disqualification. Like, I would have like Triple H show up and attack Nakamura, and then the next night he would like be like backstage talking to Roman, and Roman would be like, man, why the hell would you want me to go against Nakamura? He's the king of strong style. He's a legit threat. And Triple H would be like, trust me, you do want him. You don't want the demon on a pay-per-view.
Yeah, I love that. I love that everybody really gets protected in that, because it's not saying like, oh, well, it's because Nakamura sucks. It's just, no, like, Demon Balor is something else.
And it also protects Balor, because you would have him. He still hasn't lost at pay-per-view.
Yeah. Yeah. And
And I
hell,
think honestly, I would have Balor challenge for and beat Roman at SummerSlam for the title.
yeah, and dude, another reason why, and I don't know if you know this, but another reason why I love like how you structured everything, if we're mining what's actually happened in WWE, I mean, Balor's already beaten Roman Reigns clean, and Roman Reigns knows that.
Right.
So he's probably got that doubt in his mind, like, oh, well, that was just regular Finn Balor. I've heard this stuff about the demon. I don't want to deal with that. Shinsuke may be an unknown, but with all the like power that he's got backing him up with Triple H and of course the whole stable that you've got going on there of like NXT kids, as you affectionately called them, like, yeah, I'd rather venture into the unknown with all that backup than a guy that I know can beat me and just had a dominant showing at WrestleMania as the demon. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So then I would kind of have Finn would just kind of go on a roll and just win every match that he gets put in at a pay-per-view, leading up to him earning #1 contendership and winning the title at SummerSlam against all odds. Because I would have Triple H show up. I would have Roman try and cheat. Like, I would have all the shenanigans happen, and Balor still finds a way to win. And it's this great catharsis. But then the next night on Raw, we get Roman versus Balor, and Roman wins the title back.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. You look at the rest of my card. I mean, I'll tell you, oddly enough, like, again, what I'm most proud of is the whole Paige versus Becky Lynch match on my card. I mean, I just have her doing the craziest stuff. Again, I've renamed her submission hold the PTSD. I'm glad you love that, by the way.
That's so good, dude. Oh my god.
Yeah, I was like, I wonder what Ashton's gonna, because I was debating like 2 different names, but they both came out to PTSD, and I'm like, okay, John, whatever you choose, Ashton can't think it's corny because you can't die inside. So I'm like, here we go. But yeah, it really is like a repackaging, and Paige is being so over everybody's shit and just like going crazy. And then I love the idea that at Extreme Rules they're gonna do a first blood match, and just
cool. You know what though? That's I feel like that's strictly fantasy, because I don't think WWE would ever. First of all, I don't think they're ever going to do a first blood match ever again, because there's like this weird like anti-bleeding policy now. But at the same time, even if they were open to the idea of a first blood match, they sure as hell wouldn't do it with women.
I completely agree with you on all counts. I mean, yeah, that's as Lucha Underground as I feel like my fantasy booking got, because they're not afraid to not only have women fight, but I mean, we know in No Mas that Sexy Star was bleeding. So they're not afraid of any of it. So that's definitely very Lucha Underground-esque, I will admit. But really for me, because, dude, I still, and maybe this is where I'm not entirely Johnny Scumbag, I remember our early conversations about Paige and how we said, like, oh, she's so young and she just gets it and she's going to be one of the greatest ever. And I'm seeing everything happen.
The thing is, like, if she would show up on either show, she would instantly be the best female talker on that show. I think, like, the mic work quality in the WWE from the females has fallen so far, it's almost embarrassing. And that's kind of what I'm hoping to bring back with my Emma versus Becky program, and you're doing it with Paige and Becky, so that's perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was what it was about for me, because, dude, it's honestly gotten to the point where on Tweetoff, that's Pro Wrestling has taken over Facebook, you guys should check it out, amazing community. When there are articles shared like about Del Rio or Paige, there'll be people like, oh, I'm just wondering when she's going to get arrested or how much longer before she gets fired. And I'm like, man, there is gold here if you just have the passion for possibility. And yeah, like, I'm just letting it all hang out. And Becky doesn't even know what the fuck is going on, especially because, too, another reason why I did this match, I didn't even mention that one of Paige's kind of quote unquote pipe bombs is, she was the one that said that Becky was never even going to be a women's champion when they were in PCB. And she thinks it's a joke that Becky is now a 2-time women's champion. That just shows you how worthless the belt is if somebody like Becky can win it not once but twice. So she really like...
So you're kind of channeling your inner Johnny Scumbag with Paige's character here.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's, again, like, because Paige is going in with the mindset, I have 2 strikes that I didn't even deserve because I had prescriptions. Their wellness policy is bullshit. But you know something? 1 strike and I'm out. So while all of you would cower in a corner thinking, oh, I got to get extra cream in my boss's coffee, or oh, maybe I'll give their shoes a spit shine, I'm looking at it as nothing left to lose, and she totally hijacks the show. She's the fan if they were actually able to sign a contract. Just the most obnoxious, off the goddamn wall. And Becky represents that order. She represents, like, this is what we want our women to be in WWE. This is how we view a revolution. And Paige is like, you're not a revolutionary, Becky. You're a goddamn farce. And Paige just really doesn't care. And she would, win that first blood match, and it would be her reign of terror with the SmackDown Women's Championship. Because I want to give her, make her that heel, make her that developed character.
How iconic is it, though, that you're giving Paige a reign of terror with the SmackDown Women's title, and I'm giving Emma the reign of terror with the SmackDown Women's title? Like, the first NXT arrival women's main event that really kind of put the eyes on that division, and each one of them is a champion in our fantasy world.
Dude, I just gotta say, and I hope my hand doesn't break off from jerking ourselves off here, I just can't believe the separate but same conclusions you and I reached at certain points in our cards. Like, for example, right? I didn't book Emma nearly as good as you did. Like, yes, we both had the same end road, but yours to me means so much more. But I did that with Paige, and you just outlined that relationship. I still can't fucking believe that in two different divisions, you with the US, me with the WWE Championship, we thought, oh, we're going to have our champions be stripped and fight for it all over again in a tournament. Like, what? And dude, I can't believe that shit, man. That makes me... Like, I've always joked, oh, we've got ESPN. No, there is something seriously going on here if you and I had that kind of thinking. And just different enough where it's not too terrifying. Because if it was for the same championship, Jesus fucking Christ.
Oh, yeah, that would have been... Well, it's pretty scary as it is. But if it would have been for the same title, we probably would have had to end the commentary on that note.
Yeah, just been like, well, that's it, guys. Yeah, we're out. But yeah, dude, I mean, your card is great. I love that we both have guys that really could use a big WrestleMania moment, winning the armbar. Me with Elias Samson, because you and I have been talking to death how good he is. You give it to Braun, which what I love about that, because I'll admit, I'm kind of a hypocrite here, because I know we either complain about WWE giving either too little or too much, and him beating Finn is big for his first Mania, but I think you've really got that Goldilocks treatment where, you know what, he wins at his first Mania, it's in a match that you'd expect him to win because of his size, and, he gets to just pose with the trophy where I think he may actually be bigger than the trophy, so it's a great fucking visual. So I really loved how you used Braun there. Hoping to make Big E a main event star within the next year after him winning the New Day triple threat. Joe obviously beating Cena is huge for me. I love that Stephanie gets a comeuppance. I wasn't going to waste it on fucking Ronda Rousey because, man, Coach's tweets just ringing in my ears like, oh, WWE saw that loss mattered. So I'm like, oh, we'll just give it to Bayley instead. Yeah, dude, you and I had a lot of fun with this. This was great.
Absolutely. All right, guys. We know that only our most dedicated fans are left still watching this video, so we wanted to ask you guys a question before we went off the air. Would you guys be interested in John and I doing live Raw and SmackDown hangouts where at 8 p.m. EST on Mondays and or Tuesdays, we go live. You guys can kind of file into the chat and we all just kind of bullshit for 2 or 3 hours, depending on what show it is. And if you would be interested in that, would you be interested in donating to Patreon for that? Because we value our time and we value being able to just kind of sit by and watch a show and not have to really be on during the entire show. So if we were to do that, it would become not an individual Patreon reward, but a community Patreon reward, where if we get to like a net of $80 a month, we would do SmackDown Live reactions, and then a higher quote than that would be for Raw.
Yeah.
Because SmackDown Live reactions would be kind of fun. Raw would be hell, so we'd have to charge a higher amount for that. But we're very curious if our fan base would be at all interested in doing sort of a Raw or SmackDown hangout party where we just kind of go live, and rather than live tweeting, we just kind of talk to you guys while you kind of file into chat. And really, it would just kind of be a Twitwell party, but it would be during Raw and or SmackDown. we think that could be a really cool way to kind of put out more content while Lucha Underground is on its hiatus. And I will just kind of put those feelers out there. If you guys are interested, after this video goes through and processes and you've had time to kind of marinate on it, leave a comment to let us know if you're interested in Raw and or SmackDown TwitWow parties. That's what we're probably going to call them, like a party or a hangout or something like that. We would do SmackDown first and eventually build up to doing Raw if you guys would be interested in that. But again, we want to make sure that you guys are interested, and we are going to close things out here. With that being said, NXT is going to be the only show that we review this week and next week. But then as soon as the Royal Rumble happens, obviously we're going to do our preview predictions and stuff like that. But then after the Royal Rumble, we're going to go back to reviewing Raws and SmackDowns after every show. And this Thursday, this Thursday is in like, 4 days? So yeah, this coming Thursday, we are going to be doing a review, a Patreon requested review of Ring of Honor Final Battle 2016. It's been a while since we've watched anything Ring of Honor because we're both kind of fallen out of love with the show, but we will be watching it this week and reviewing it on Thursday night at the same time that NXT comes on, or Lucha Underground comes on, or Raw or SmackDown comes on. So whatever time that is for you, that's the time on Thursday that we'll be going live. I think it's also an hour before Impact comes on. So you know, if you watch Impact, you'll get to listen to us talk about Ring of Honor for an hour before then. John, any last words before we close this out?
We fucking did it, baby. We went to distance. We did our fantasy cards. So much fun. Really got to love seeing you actually present your card. I thought that was fantastic. He already gave you guys the rundown. I would just like to quickly plug, because it's my baby, the Scum Squad merch is still going on Teespring. You know, we do have shirts. We have stickers. I mean, that's a great item for you to buy if you want to support the Scum Squad. My personal favorite is the mug. I'm still going to work out getting a mug in the near future. But yeah, plenty of Scum Squad merch. Put your hands up. Be proud to be a heel. Scum Squad 444 life. Really appreciate any buyers of any of the Scum Squad merch. It would mean a lot. I think you've already said, Ashton, that we've gotten 4 orders so far. So not too bad.
We have four sales so far. We have 4 members of the Scum Squad that are making their membership official.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm still, pushing the shirt here and there. I'll get really aggressive with it again now that this is all behind us, because this is a big commentary we did. So guys, when you can, get that Scum Squad merch. Let's show them. Let's show the Bullet Club. Let's show the Elite. Let's show everybody that our numbers are the strongest. I would greatly appreciate it. But with that, Ashton, I'll return the floor to you, good sir.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, remember NXT review Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern time, and then ROH Final Battle 2016 review on Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time. And of course, leave a comment after this video has been fully processed and stuff to let us know whether you're interested in us going live every Monday and Tuesday for a Raw and or SmackDown live hangout / viewing party. And be sure to stay tuned, everyone.